Case number 3075, Drake versus Wayne's Corner. All parties, please step forward.
Derek Drake is suing his former girlfriend, Rosvita Waynes Kerner, for an unpaid car loan.
Mr. Drake.
Yes, ma'am.
Is your claim that the defendant owes you $1,000 for the down payment that you gave her for a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says she owes you nothing. It was your idea because you wanted better access to her. Ms. Kerner says that you owe her the same $1,000 because you destroyed or threw away some dresses that she had purchased for your sisters and gave you the dresses to hold until you saw your sisters and you disposed of them. She wants the value or what you paid for them. Mr. Drake, I found some of the papers interesting. How do you know Miss Kerner?
Well, we used to live in the same apartment complex. About 6 months ago, she moved out of the complex.
When she lived in the complex, did you have a relationship with her?
No, we were just friends.
Okay, who did you live with, sir?
I lived by myself.
And who did Miss Kerner live with?
She lived by herself.
And then she moved away?
Yes.
And you continued to see her?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, we became good friends, and when she moved away, we just carried on our friendship. She would come by and see me. I would go by and see her.
It wasn't a romantic relationship?
No.
Not romantic?
No.
Not intimate, just
No,
friends?
just friends.
Okay. Tell me about the car loan.
Well, she came by my apartment one day, and she had an electric bike, and the bike, she said it was no good anymore. I said, well, would you like some more transportation? And she said, yes. I said, I can loan you $1,000 to buy you a vehicle if you pay me back. And she says, okay, I could take that loan. And I said, can you pay me back within 6 months because I was going to drunk driving school? I said, I'm going to graduate from drunk driving school in 6 months, so I need the money because I need to buy me a car.
You said I can loan you $1,000. Did you go with Miss Kerner to find a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you get there?
One of her friends drove us. It was at a tow yard. It wasn't in the city of San Jose. It was right outside the city.
And did you have check or cash?
I had cash.
And you acknowledge that he put down $1,000 for the car?
Put down? Well,
I didn't say loan,
okay.
Miss Kerner. I said you acknowledge that he put down $1,000 for the car.
He was there, yes.
How much? No, not he was there. he
yeah.
put down $1,000 for the car.
Yeah.
Okay. And you paid a total of $1,700 for the car?
It probably totaled up after paying for the registration and stuff, okay? Because it was $1,250. Okay. And then he said that he was going to pay for the car and stuff, for the gas, because I didn't want a car. I was content with my bike, but he insists. So that's where the 7 comes in, because he wants me to pay back for the registration, the car.
How much did you pay?
Nothing.
So he paid the whole thing?
Yeah. He wanted it, yeah.
He only says he loaned you $1,000.
No. Well, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Okay? But it came up to $1,250. And then the 17, it totals out, I guess, out for 17, I don't know how, but it totals out for the registration. So that's probably where it comes for $1,700.
How much did you put down on the car?
$1,000.
Well, where'd you get the other money from?
I don't know.
Well, you say in your complaint that she purchased the car, she found the car for $1,700. So I'm asking you, if you gave her $1,000, did she come up with $700?
I guess so.
Oh, my God. I'm getting very, very confused. All right. Now, Miss Kerner, Mr. Drake says that you were friends. Mm-hmm. You describe him in your answer as a Sancho.
A Sancho.
Sancho, what is that?
That's your, I guess people call it friends with benefits nowadays.
Friends with benefits. Mm-hmm. So are you suggesting that he had benefits?
Oh, yeah.
And is that why you used to bike ride to his house?
Yeah.
Shh. Clearly it was forgettable for him. Do you still have the car?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What do you use it for?
For, like to go to the grocery store. I don't drive very much. So to go to the grocery store or to go and see my kids or take the dogs to the park. I don't work. So.
Now, you have a sister? You have some sisters?
I have 4 sisters, Your Honor.
Did you invite Miss Kerner to travel at some point to your sisters for a party?
Well, we went down to Atlanta, Georgia on April 28th because my sister was her retirement party. And we was also gonna go to Flint, Michigan on July 21st for my sister's birthday.
Okay. Did there come a time when Miss Kerner delivered some dresses to you for your sisters?
Yeah, she delivered some dresses to me so we can take to Flint, Michigan on July 31st. But I was upset with her because she never even made me one payment. So I put them in the hallway, and I guess somebody took them. I did not throw them away or destroy them.
Well, you got rid of them if you put them in the hallway, sir.
Derek Drake claims his former girlfriend, Rosevita Waynes Kerner, owes for an unpaid car loan. Rosevita is countersuing Derek for the cost of designer dresses.
Where did you get the dresses from?
I got them from my mom. They were willed to me because she had passed.
So they were used dresses?
No, they weren't used dresses because
Well, you didn't buy them?
No, but they weren't used. My mom was a shopaholic, and so she left me these wonderful dresses, but they were for taller women. His sisters were tall. I'm not going to send no junky, trashy dresses to, impress his family with, And so they're all name brand, nice dresses, really pretty. Ask him, he's seen them all.
They were beautiful.
I'm not going to send nothing tacky. And so I asked him for the dresses back when he copped his attitude, and he told me he put them out in the hall.
He copped an attitude about what?
About the car.
What about the car?
Okay, let me tell you what happened, okay? I have this fatal attraction person that's like all up in my grill. I want nothing to do with him. So he got a hold of his phone number, called him, told him I was driving all these men around town, and he copped the attitude about me driving, and which I was not, because I don't like to drive. I'm 61 years old. Why am I gonna drive some dudes around town for? They're gonna drive me around town and take me to go eat. So he copped the attitude, and then I found out I'm getting paper in the mail about I'm being sued. Okay, and then I asked him 4 days later, I says, because I waited, maybe he's going to call or something. And he didn't. And then I asked him about the dresses. And that's when he told me he put them out. I says, why you put those dresses out? Why didn't you just call me? And he just, I don't have to call you, blah, 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 blah. Well, so I just turned around and walked away.
Tell me about the car.
Okay.
He told me his version about the car.
Okay. So the car, he kept on telling me, Rose, let me buy you a car. Let me get you a car. I'm going to get you a car. I'm going to get you a car. No, I'm cool. I don't want the car. I'm happy with my bike because I don't drive.
Okay. After you bought the car, did you drive in the car to go to any vacations with his family?
No, because his family's not here. But we did drive to the airport. That's what the main thing was, just to go to the airport, get us there, and then when we get back, the car was there, so we can drive back home.
Where did you go? From what to the airport? When you went to the airport, where did you travel to?
To the airport.
And then where did you go?
To Atlanta.
From where?
From San Jose.
Who purchased the tickets?
He did.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How come you bought tickets to take her anywhere? Just because she was a friend?
Because she was a very good friend.
How much is a very good friend?
Well, I wanted her to meet my sisters down in Atlanta, Georgia, because
Why?
she was retiring. And I just wanted her to meet them.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, if she was just a friend, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, she was a close friend.
How close?
Very, very close. And I just wanted her to meet my family.
Okay, she was a very close friend.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Got it. Okay. You see, he's more chivalrous than you are.
Oh, okay.
He's more chivalrous than you are. Anything else either one of you want to tell me? Did you get angry, by the way? You saw something that was written somewhere that she was driving with men in the car. Who told you that?
I guess one of her friends called me up and told me all this. But
Don't tell me you guess.
I got upset because she wasn't paying back the loan.
Nah, I don't think so. How much were the tickets from California to
They were
Atlanta?
$1,600.
That's very expensive.
Yes, yes, it is.
$1,600 for both?
Yes.
And when you got there, where did you stay?
We stayed at my sister's house in Atlanta.
The next trip that you were supposed to take, did you have to fly there for the retirement
Yes,
party?
we was gonna go to Flint, Michigan on July 21st for my sister's birthday.
How were you going to get there?
We was gonna fly.
And you were going to buy the tickets?
Yes.
Sounds like a very good friend.
Very good, yes. But we never took that trip.
I understand. Did you drive anywhere else with Miss Kerner in the car?
No.
Did she take you to work?
No.
Did she take you anyplace else? Did you go out for dinner?
No.
She just drove back and forth to your house.
Yes, Your Honor.
And when she drove back and forth to your house, did she ever stay over?
No.
She came at what time, and what time did she leave when she would come to visit?
She would come at around 1 o'clock in the morning. She would leave about 2 or 3.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Drake, I know that you were probably annoyed that you heard from her friend that she was using this car that you purchased for her, and she was taking other people around in the car. So I know that was probably an annoyance for you. But that doesn't create a loan. I don't believe it was a loan, Mr. Drake. I think she's more accurate, and you learn something new every day. Sancho.
Sancho.
Yeah. Okay, which I believe is probably accurate. And you have no value on these dresses. There is no...
Yes, I pulled them up online, okay? And what they look like,
Yeah.
you know, and...
And you gave them away. You gave them to him.
Well, yeah, to his, you know, to give to his sisters,
Okay.
not to throw away.
You're not getting any money from him.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
I'm
Okay.
good with it.
You got a car out of it, right?
Eh.
Thank you. Have a
But
good
it's just a point, Judge, that's all.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
This court
You
is
too.
adjourned.
I know I didn't win and she didn't win, but life goes on. You know, life is good. It's just another day.
Well, it's all good with me. I mean, hell, I got a free car out of it.
How she was driving other guys around in the car that I bought, that I paid for.
Hell no.
But I found out later on that they were just making that up.
Because he had said, when I would go see him, he had said, you know, oh, you driving all kinds of men in the car?
I asked her and she said no, and I found out that she was telling the truth.
I'm all like, dude, why am I gonna be driving dudes around in my car?
I guess you could say that I am her Sancho.
No Sancho for me, no more. I'm good.
You know, when you asked him what time his friend came to visit him once she upgraded from the electric bike to the car, I had my pencil ready. I was ready to write, you know, after work or maybe before if she was going to take him. You know, the normal hours, 1 to 2 in the morning.
that was
But, you know, you learn something new every day.
I certainly did. I learned what a Sancho was.
Okay, yeah.
She wanted to fight me.
Leave her alone.
Okay, so
This is not a so. This is a period.
he is currently incarcerated, Your Honor,
Where?
in a state correctional institution in Florida.
When did he go into jail?
He was arrested in September of 2022.
Has he been incarcerated since?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 3 children with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
20.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are your children?
I actually have 4 in total. I have a 5-year-old who turns 6 in December. I have a 3-year-old who turns 4 in August, a 2-year-old who turns 3 in August, and a newborn, 2 weeks old, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself.
The only connection that you have with the plaintiff is that you have one child with her husband,
Yes.
who is how old?
He's about to be 5 in the end of July.
Now, this is your complaint. Many of these things at least start in 2022, and it is your claim that Miss Bigelow, who has one child with your husband, embarked on a course of conduct that can clearly be described as harassment, defamation, which you're going to present to me, and the allegations were serious enough, and this is back in 2022, I would assume, that you filed an application for a protective order.
It was in 2021 that I had filed the protective order.
What month?
It was, I believe, March.
Did you have a trial on that protective order?
There was no trial. There was enough evidence presented.
No. There was no trial.
No, ma'am.
Were you present when the protective order was granted?
Yes, ma'am.
And you consented to it?
Yes.
Okay. So you consented to the plaintiff having a protective order indicating that for 12 months, and hopefully for the rest of your life, you would not assault, menace, threaten, or harass her.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to what I've read, that was in effect until March of 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
While the protective order was in effect, there was a violation of that protective order.
Correct, Your Honor.
What month?
It was in the month of March. March 15th,
Of 2022 or 2021?
2021, Your Honor.
Was there a hearing on the violation of the protective order?
Yes, there was, and I believe at that time, probation temporarily was given to Miss Bigelow.
Is that correct, Ms. Bigelow?
Yes, ma'am. Administrative probation.
And all of the events that are the subject of your petition happened between 2021 and 2022.
This has actually been going on far longer than that, and
Have any of the acts that Ms. Bigelow were prevented from doing as a result of the protective order occurred after the protective order expired in March of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I can provide evidence.
That's what I want to see. So now we have Ms. Bigelow, who is on notice. She consented to a protective order because she knew that the evidence would be clear that you were entitled to it. Otherwise, nobody consents to it. So she consented to that order, which means you either assaulted, menaced, threatened, or harassed her. I assume it was a cause of harassment. Then you violated that order and you got a period of probation. Okay. Now I'm hearing evidence of acts that occurred after the protective order. I'm just hearing it. After the protective order expired in March of 2022.
Yes.
Correct? You want to tell me when the first incident was?
The first incident was when me and my husband, on TikTok, there's an algorithm that shows random videos, and she popped up on his For You page, and it was a post about her mother. And so she was living with her mother at the time, and he sent it to her mother.
Your husband did?
Yes.
I only want to know things that had to do with you.
Okay. So I was arrested after my husband got arrested. They tried to charge me.
Just a second. You were arrested in what month?
It was in October, ma'am.
Of what year?
2022.
You were arrested for what?
They tried to claim that I was trafficking drugs.
That's what your husband is in jail for?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what did that have to do with her?
It doesn't.
Well, then it doesn't.
Well,
it doesn't.
She had made posts about me going to jail.
Can I see them?
Yes, ma'am.
This doesn't say anything that is defamatory. I want to know what you meant is she's already lost custody of her children enough times. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping one day I might be able to gain custody of my son's 2 daughters. What is that?
Okay, so Haley Chapman claimed that she had no understanding of the drugs being in the home when she was found guilty.
What is my son's 2 daughters? Do you mean your boyfriend's?
No, her children. She's religiously lost custody of her children.
No. I understand that. I don't understand this sentence. You wrote, she has already lost custody of her children enough times. I am hoping one day I might be able to gain custody of my son's 2 daughters.
Oh, sorry, not daughters, but sisters. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Your Honor,
Just a second. So far, it's not defamatory.
I have my order for reunification. I've only lost my children 1 time.
Doesn't matter. Put a look at it. So far, I don't see anything defamatory. If she wrote that you were arrested and you were arrested, that's not defamatory.
Haley Chapman claims her husband's ex-girlfriend, Fallon Bigelow, owes for defamation, harassment, and emotional distress. Fallon is countersuing Haley for emotional distress.
Still bragging about it. There's something wrong with you. You understand that?
Yes.
You understand that this is all coming from a very stupid place, a very stupid brain that you have absolutely nothing to do with except that you were mad at this guy, at this prize that's sitting in jail for drugs. And so, yeah, don't tell me that you were trying to be altruistic. I don't believe it.
No, that's not it. Actually, her husband assaulted me. I was a child and he was an adult for 1.5 years of my childhood. My son is a product of rape.
You don't get me. That has nothing to do with her.
She has shown up at my house.
Just a second. That has...
Okay.
Okay, so she sent a picture of your mugshot, which is also not illegal, and said that you were arrested and charged with trafficking in fentanyl, which you were, right? Which you were. Those charges were subsequently dismissed?
No, ma'am. I was granted pretrial diversion because they didn't have the evidence that they needed to actually...
That's not what I asked you. You were arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your mugshot. Mm-hmm. And you were arrested for drugs.
Correct.
So she didn't print anything that wasn't true. You were arrested, I'm not saying that what she did was right. I'm saying what she did was stupid, pointless, and just out of nothing but jealousy. Nothing. She certainly doesn't care about your children. Okay. So far, what you showed me, nasty, but not actionable because it's true. What's next?
I have the TikTok that she posted of her claim that she was sexually assaulted by my husband, which backfired on me as well. I had to shut down.
That's what she says. That has nothing to do with you.
Well, an onslaught of people came and harassed me because of her post.
I don't know that at all. And if they harassed you, that's their problem. But I'll take a look at what you want me to look at. But if she accused your husband of a crime of raping her, and she said it's your bad judgment to be with him, and now I assume you have 4 children with him?
3, Your Honor.
3, and 1 with somebody else?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds terrific. 20 years old. Sounds like we're going in the right direction here for a joyous life. Oh. What do you do for a living?
Bartender.
How many children do you have?
1.
Who do you live with?
Myself, but I'm currently moving.
Moving where?
South Carolina.
With whom?
My son and I.
Why?
To leave Florida.
Why? Why South Carolina? You just
I want to go to college for underwater welding, and they don't offer that program where I live currently.
Who are you going with?
Just by myself.
Who lives in South Carolina?
Nobody.
Do you have a place to live?
Yes.
Who's paying for it?
Me.
From what?
My job. I've been saving over the last 2 years.
How much money do you have in the bank?
I have $180,000.
Ooh. Okay. All nasty, stupid. It's not actionable. What else?
I have here that she told me to hurt myself and that she was going to expose nude photos of me.
I'd like to see that.
I also have here her saying that she wanted to throw bed bugs in my yard and on me.
This is all stupid stuff, but nasty and stupid and vicious. And I must add, illiterate. So I hope you're going to a very good school, wherever you're going. First, they should teach you literacy.
Understand.
What's next?
I did suffer chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression because of this whole situation.
No, you suffer from anxiety, depression. If you do, because you were 15 years old when you had a baby, and then you had 4 more children, you're 20 years old, and your husband's in jail. That would put any normal person in a situation of depression.
I do have proof, Your Honor.
You don't have proof.
It's from my psychiatrist.
If your psychiatrist was here and you wish to waive it, I'll be more than happy to listen to your psychiatrist. It's what you told your psychiatrist. I'm telling you, I don't have to be a psychiatrist. Somebody who's 20 years old and has 4 children, all under the age of 5, and whose husband is incarcerated for the last year and a half and has 1 child in between that's not his, that's a reason to be depressed. There's a reason to be depressed. Her nagging you because she's stupid and jealous is nasty, but not anywhere as nasty as your husband getting arrested, going to jail, leaving his 3 children and his wife alone to fend for themselves. And if he was incarcerated for drugs, making them, dealing with them, and you were living together, it's kind of hard for me to imagine that you wouldn't have some suspicion of what he was doing for a living. Do you understand what I mean? That would cause me situational depression. And there is only one way to deal with your situational depression, which is to get your life in order.
Currently, I am a nursing student and I have a year left.
Is it a building that you go to?
Yes, ma'am. I restart in September of this year.
You start or you started last year?
I started and then I took a break and then I go back in September.
When did you take a break?
From August of last year up until September, this upcoming September.
And now you're going back in September?
Yes.
And what have you been doing in between, aside having a baby?
In between then, I've just been working. I have 2 jobs.
Where are your children?
My children are actually with my friend at the hotel.
All 4 of them?
2 of them, Your Honor.
Where are the rest of them?
One is staying with my mother-in-law, and my son is in summer camp.
Which one is with your mother-in-law?
One of my daughters that I have with my husband.
And how old is the child who's in summer camp?
He's 5.
Is he in sleepaway summer camp?
No.
Well, who does he live with?
He lives with me.
Who's taking care of him now?
Right now, his grandpa.
His grandfather?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your father?
It is my son's dad's father.
Oh, God.
Haley Chapman has accused her husband's ex-girlfriend, Fallon Bigelow, of defamation and harassment. Fallon claims Haley falsely called child services, causing her emotional distress.
All right, you have anything else you want to show me so far? There's a bunch of nonsense. It's not
Yes,
nonsense,
ma'am.
it's just very unfortunate.
This is her saying that she wanted to fight me.
I don't care about wanting to fight you. You didn't fight with her, right?
No.
And she didn't come to fight you, and she didn't hit you, right? All right, we're done. Let's see, money owed for emotional distress caused by leaking photos. All right.
Haley Chapman posted child pornography of me via Facebook.
When?
September of 2018. Also, her and her husband were under investigation for extortion of child pornography, threatening that if I did not fight them, they would release the video of him sexually assaulting me while I was pregnant.
I would like to see where she, not he, where she sent you something that you consider harassment.
Okay, she has shown up to my house on...
No, she, listen to me carefully, she sent you an extortion letter. I want to see where she did, not her husband.
The police took the iPod with the original conversation because it involved child pornography.
If I don't have it, I don't have it.
Okay, that's understandable.
Do you have it? The answer is yes or no.
No, not the original conversation.
Ms. Chapman, I told you my best long and short-term advice to you. You are articulate, nice-looking, young, whole life ahead of you. It depends upon where you want to hang your hopes. And if you hang it with somebody who's incarcerated, that's ridiculous. He's not coming out to you anyway. You have a new father for your baby. Do you live with that person? Do you live with that person? Who do you live with?
I live alone.
Oh, God.
I also have the times that she made fictitious DCF calls against me and messages of her admitting that she called DCF on me because I wouldn't fight her.
Because you wouldn't fight her?
Yes.
I would like to actually take a look at those. Not that you're going to get a penny from her. You understand that?
Yep.
You understand why?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And by the way, you know, I understand that you say that there was an abusive sexual relationship between you and her husband, who is the father of your child.
Yes, ma'am.
You did, in fact, allow him to see the child regularly. Is
No,
that?
ma'am.
No?
No.
You mean he's never seen his
Never.
son?
Actually, no, incorrect. When my son was first born, he was 6 hours late. He came in, he said hello. And other than that, he was not permitted to be around the child.
So he never came to your house and never saw him from the time the child was born until the time he went into jail. Is that correct?
The only time that he did see my son was when she came to my house in June of 2022, when he was parked outside the house and my son had come outside. Other than that, he has not been around my child.
Yeah, well, you're Haley on this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. She's angry at you, right? She's angry at you because you won't stop. You keep posting stuff about her, about her husband, about the kids, whatever. It's all because...
There were multiple reasons as to why I was upset with her. There were on 3 different occasions when the restraining order was put in place, claiming that I violated when I did not. I was only
Just a second.
Okay.
There was a final order of protection and a finding that you violated that final order of protection, and all this stuff was harassing, nasty, unfortunately not defamatory, but clearly annoying. And she finally said, I've had enough. You have no case. You have no case, and you're just lucky I'm not awarding her any money because nothing that you posted about her was not true. She was, in fact, arrested. I assume that you were, in fact, a minor when you became pregnant and the father of your child was an adult. I assume all those things are true. Listen to me. If you saved $180,000, which is a lot of money to be able to save over a couple of years bartending, which is to your credit, and if what you're going to do is try to start a new life, good for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. Put your time to better use. Leave her alone. She's got enough troubles just negotiating life at age 20 with 4 children. Leave her alone.
Okay, so...
This is not a so. This is a period. The end. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
I believe that she gave me some really good life advice and was able to hopefully open the defendant's eyes as to the problems that she's been causing.
She threatened me, threatened my friends, made fictitious DCF reports against me.
Things just mellow out and she decides not to
Time to get out of Florida.
defame me or harass me anymore.
That case reminded me of my family court days, Sarah. Here's this guy who was an adult. She was 15 when her first child was born, 14 when she got pregnant. And I don't understand why that guy's not in jail.
For something other than drugs.
For something other than drugs. Except she probably...
He married her and then had 3 more children.
I'm not sure when he married her, but in between there, in the beginning, he had a child with the defendant. And I think that the plaintiff and defendant sort of knew each other. But there are now 5 children, all with mothers, single mothers, who are unsettled. And there's no question, one's living with a grandparent, one's staying here, one back with a friend in a hotel room. It's just so sad for these children. I don't know how to convince generations of young people that you're not supposed to have children, that you're not emotionally and financially and equipped to take care of. Just do that.
And it makes every step of her getting her life back on track at 20 as a child herself all the more difficult with 4 kids in tow. So not only, you know, how sad it is for the children, but she's a child herself that should be able to get her life back on track.
It would be wonderful. She, you know, both seem to be articulate people. Of course, they can't write, but maybe it's just the way they write when they write text.
Twitter fingers, you know.
Yeah, Twitter, but it looks illiterate to me. Maybe I'm just from the wrong generation. That's possible. But it's just sad for those 5 kids.
3042, Moore versus James. All parties, please step forward.
Dorothy Moore is suing her former friend, Jasmine James, for totaling her ATV dirt bike during a ride for peace.
Ms. Moore, it is basically your claim that the defendant owes you for a new ATV because she crashed one that she had borrowed from you.
That is correct.
What I gather is you have a group of mostly of women, all women, who ride motorcycles or ATVs together, and the nexus that keeps the group together are women who somehow have lost loved ones or friends to gun violence.
That is correct, too.
When did you start this group?
I started this group October 21st of 2021.
Why?
Because I moved to Cincinnati from Pensacola, Florida. I was married 11 months before I lost my husband due to gun violence. And I had no family in Cincinnati, so I started the group. I searched for ladies in Cincinnati who had been through the same thing, and I wanted to form a sisterhood with those ladies. I had 64 young ladies to come before me, and out that 64, 10 of them were true sisters.
And tell me what you did with this group of 10 women.
Well, I entered them in a lot of events in Cincinnati.
What kind of events?
Women empowerment parades, parades for kids to inspire them as well. They would like us to come and speak. We were in the Cincinnati Reds parade. I mean, anywhere we went, we encouraged a lot of women and young ladies.
When did Miss James join your group?
She joined my group October 15th of 2021.
As background, Miss James, can you tell me why you joined the group?
So me and all the ladies bonded on having lost family members to gun violence.
Did you have such a loss?
Yeah, it was a loss for the family, so it was something new to me.
And when you joined the plaintiff for these rides and parades, were you using your own vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, and some of them, but mine was damaged. So Miss Dorothy, she allowed me to borrow hers.
Was that the ATV that we're talking about here today?
Yes, ma'am.
So on what date did you borrow the ATV?
August 16th. That was our Ride for Peace.
How many women were involved?
Maybe 6 or 7 of us.
And you were riding through various communities? Did you have a sign? Did you have something identifying what you were doing?
We had bandanas, and we wore all the same colors.
Do you have any photographs for me to look at?
Several photos
I would like
of
to
the
see
group. I have the very first, second photo is a picture of me actually and Jazz together, and pictures of the group.
I don't see anything here that talks about gun violence in these pictures, by the way. DGRYDERS. What does that mean?
Dirty Girl Riders.
Dirty Girl Riders. Yeah, this doesn't say anything to me about gun violence. If I saw this group of women riding around in black leather in very exposed costumes without any identifying T-shirts, Mothers Against Gun Violence, something, I would think that it was just a bunch of bikers in leather. This looks like it's some sort of a heavy metal rock concert. Were you drinking?
Claims her former friend, Jasmine James, drove her ATV dirt bike while drinking and crashed it into a pole.
Now, August 16th, you were riding her son's new ATV. Tell me what you observed, Miss Moore.
On that day, on August the 16th, we were riding down Reading Road. If I could come up and
Absolutely.
We were riding down Reading Road. We were coming southbound. So we were right here in this lane. And we was riding in a signal fine line coming down this way. And we were crossing over to go here. And Miss James was like I think the 4th or 5th person. I was in front. I led the pack. Miss James, she was the 3rd person and she was coming. There's a turning lane right here to go on to Paddock. Miss James wasn't in the turning lane. She was in the lane where we were.
That's not
She
true.
She did an illegal turn and went this way and lost control of the bike and bang and hit the pole. On that day, I observed Miss James not acting like herself. She was driving on the side of me, jumping in front of me. One thing in the bike world, you don't jump on the side of a 3-wheeler. They ride signified line. Only 2 pair can ride together is 2 2-wheelers. We later found out Miss James had been drinking, so that explains why she was not acting like herself. We didn't find that out till after the accident.
That's not
How did you find that out, Miss Moore?
When Miss James hit the pole, she hit the impact so hard that everything she had on her shattered. So it was like 6 or 7 liquor bottles fell out her shirt. Her shoe went one way and other stuff that she had.
What kind of liquor bottles?
Like small liquor bottles, like, you know, the party liquor bottles, you can buy them like for $1 in the store.
Mm-hmm.
They came out of her shirt. And
Did you see that?
Yes, when she fell, she landed back and she paused for a moment. We all thought she was dead. We all started hollering and crying because we thought we had lost her. She didn't say anything. You know, we thought she was dead. And so we all ran up to her. And when we ran up to her, her whole leg was split open. And we could study seeing Jazz. And she was still like this. That's when my other sister walked up to me and she said, look. And we looking at the liquor bottles all over the place. And so she quickly gathered them before we called the police.
Did you have insurance on the bike that you were riding?
I had full coverage on my bike, and I had liability coverage on the bike that Jazz was riding.
Why only liability coverage?
Because that's all that they offered me on that bike.
Oh, because your son was riding it.
Yeah, it was.
How old is your son?
19 years old.
Okay, so they gave you liability, but not collision.
Correct.
Okay, your version of the events is somewhat different from hers, and I gather from what the plaintiff is saying, and from your answer, that you were seriously injured that day and was hospitalized.
I was.
Okay. Now I'd like you can go up to the board and tell me your version of how this unfortunate accident occurred.
We were coming down Reading Road. Me and Miss Dorothy were in the turning lane. Miss Dorothy actually jumped in front of me.
That's not true.
And took a right without a turning signal. And it startled me, and I lost control and crashed. But we were here. I was in the right lane, and Dorothy was in the left lane.
Okay. It's clear that this ATV was destroyed. And when had you purchased it?
I purchased the ATV on April 21st, 2022.
How much?
$2,279.
Okay. Now, when you were hospitalized, and since you tell me that this accident was caused by her negligence, did you contact a lawyer?
No, I did not.
Why not?
That was my sister, so I didn't expect to be sued.
Were you drinking that day?
No, ma'am.
What were the little liquor bottles that she was talking about?
I had possession of them, but I hadn't been drinking that day.
What were you doing with them on the ride?
They were in my purse.
What for?
I planned to later on, but I would have been in trouble if I had been drinking, if liquor bottles was on the scene and they flew all over the place.
Well, you would have been in trouble unless someone picked them up before the police arrived, which is what they did. Okay.
That's not true.
All right. Anything else?
I have a text message where Miss James texted me and stated that she was going to pay me back. And
I'd like to see it.
And also, when they put her in the ambulance, she said, "Prez, don't worry about it. I'm going to pay you back for your bike. I'm going to pay you back for your bike," before they rode off with her. It's the
Can I
top
see them,
paragraph.
Judge?
Just a second.
Top paragraph.
Well, you talk about paying her back for her bike, which you fully intend to do.
I do, but I still think that maybe we should have gone and have, she caused the crash.
Okay. 2279, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I figured it would go that way.
Justice Porville, she was up there not telling the truth, and the judge saw right through it.
That's just the type of person she is. She wanted to be in front.
No, I am the president. I am the front of the pack.
I do remember the impact. Slow motion.
I thought she was dead. We all thought she was dead.
It'll be a while before I get on any wheels at all.
Look twice to save a life all day long.
So one thing that was in the complaint that we didn't quite get to that I was interested in was the plaintiff says in her complaint that she made it clear to all of the women in the group that if they were to use her machines, her ATVs, her bikes, that they were responsible for both keeping gas in the tank, a full tank, and the liability on the bike. So my question going over that was, how did you make that clear exactly? I think what she meant was a strict liability. You're trying to say that anything that happens when you're riding my bike, I made clear to them that that was on them, their liability. And unless she had some writing that was signed by the members of this group, I'm not sure that you can impose liability in that way.
Well, it's one-sided. You're absolutely right.
I think the right thing.
Some sort of a writing. So that you know that there's a meeting of the minds with regard to your responsibility if you're taking on the responsibility.
Especially in an organized group like this, it wouldn't seem so far-fetched to have a writing saying, I'm the president of this group, I have a few extra bikes, but before you can ride them, I just need you to sign this saying that if you damage it or return it with no gas, I'm not responsible for that.
Yeah, so, like you do when you rent a car.
Exactly.
You can either accept it or reject it.
But they can't impose it on you one-sided.
Right.
Understood.
You're right.
Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for Bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and Law Clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for Law Clerk Sarah Rose. Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Uloa are suing their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, for the cost of a T-shirt order.
Order in the court. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3072, Kamchan Ulola versus Garcia.
Thank you. Who is Mr. Kamchan? You were starting up a business, T-shirt business.
Correct.
The defendant was also in business. He makes shirts. I assume you were having them made to sell them either online or at events.
Correct.
You don't have a store, is that right?
Online store.
Online. What's the name of your company?
Risen Athletics.
Reason?
Risen.
Risen. Spell it.
RIZIN space Athletics.
And where are they incorporated?
Ceres, California.
In the state of California.
In the state of California.
And it's a corporation. You have a license. You've incorporated it.
Correct.
Here.
There's a website, about 9 items of clothing.
May I see it, please? Sure. Make it go. Could you go back to, okay, I just want to see where they order them from. Great. And what's the name of your company, sir?
MFP Studios.
MFP Studios.
Correct.
Where are you located?
Los Angeles.
How long have you been in business, Mr. Kamchan?
About a year and a half.
Did you make any money the first year you were in business?
Yes.
How much?
Approximately 10,000, a little over.
Nice. In that first year, did you get any merchandise from Mr. Garcia?
We did.
So you made some money from the merchandise?
Not from his clothing, actually.
Not from his. What other company do you deal with?
We did wholesaling through Champion, the website.
Champion is a wholesaler? I thought they were a retailer.
So they have a website where you can wholesale and buy a bunch of garments that they allow you to reprint on and sell. So that's what we did originally.
I found an Instagram page for MFP Studios. The website is coming soon.
I have the website currently closed right now.
Currently closed.
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, our website opens and closes like periodically. So right now it's actually closed. But if you would like, I can go and open it for you guys so you guys can take a look at it.
I want to know why it closes, Mr. Garcia. What does that mean?
So usually the way that my company works is that we do custom manufacturing for specific brands. So it's very customized. But at times I do produce blanks on my own where I'll put on my website. Currently we don't have any, so my website is closed until we produce them and then we post them on our website. I don't know if that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense. How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? How much money
did the T-shirts?
How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? And I'd like to see the order.
Okay.
Can I see all the papers?
Would be the invoices for the T-shirts.
Thank you. Did they pay all of these invoices?
Yes.
Lex, would you add up these invoices for me, please? How many T-shirts were they supposed to have?
Total should have been approximately 320.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
How many did they receive? That's what this case is about.
Correct. They should have received at least 180.
So about half.
Correct.
It's not true.
Just a second.
Okay.
And you got paid.
Correct.
Well, at least for that number of shirts, they get their money back, right? Duh. For the number of T-shirts that you didn't send them, they get their money back.
Well, there was a couple other things that were taking into place, so that's
like
kind of
what?
the issue. So there was a lot of changes that were being made.
Hold on a second, Lexi.
7996.
7996 is the total of all those invoices. Great. All I'm saying to you, Mr. Garcia, this is the case that we hear about. They're complaining that they got some T-shirts, but they were not what they ordered. You acknowledge that they didn't get half the T-shirts at all, and you didn't make them, and your website is now offline.
Well, that happens like every...
I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care. I don't know any other company that takes their website offline. I mean, I don't understand that.
I could give you a list of a couple.
I don't want you to give me a list of any. I want you to tell me why they're not entitled to at least half their money back.
So like I was stating, there was a bunch of other changes. So them not being happy with the garments that they received, that at the end of the day, I can't control. That is what they've ordered. I sent them pictures. I'm
talking about the ones that they didn't receive, sir, not the ones that they did.
Okay.
They were not happy, which they will tell me about the half that they received. You acknowledge that you didn't send them half of the ones that they ordered.
Correct.
Well, why should they pay for those? That's what I'm asking you to answer.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to explain. So
try to explain it to me so that Alexei understands it. He's much smarter than I am.
So when it comes down to custom manufacturing, there's a lot of other components that come into place. There were a lot of changing designs. There was a lot of remaking of screens for us to get the design onto the T-shirt that we had to do, that took up our time, that took up our money, that we didn't charge him for. So that's kind of where everything in terms of like the money goes to. is what we're saying. It's like, okay, if you're going to be making all these changes and then you're not happy with it, if you can see, I have pictures of me sending them a print of the t-shirt and them saying, oh, the print looks different. At the end of the day, we don't work on the designs. We don't change the designs. Whatever they send us is what we put on the t-shirt. If it doesn't come right on the t-shirt, that is not our fault. We don't make the design.
That sounds like a yada, yada, yada.
Claim their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, did not properly fulfill their t-shirt order and owes them a refund.
Let me see if I can give you the Reader's Digest of what he was saying and tell me if that's what you understood. Would you do that for me? They ordered 320 T-shirts. For all intents and purposes, and because of our easy math, he sent them half. They paid for 320. What he's saying is because they kept making changes, they spent more time on the half that they got. So they didn't feel that they had to send them the other half. Is that what you're getting?
Yes.
That's a duh. Do you understand? That's a duh. You know, I'm trying to think of an analogous situation for you. I'm a dentist's daughter, and I know that sometimes in my father's business, somebody would come in and he'd look at a tooth and he'd say, you know what? It's a simple filling, you know, and I'm going to charge so much. And then he started to work. Patient said, okay, you know, that's a reasonable figure, and he started to work. And all of a sudden he found, well, there was a little something else in there that he really had to do in order to do what he said he could do for $20. Mm-hmm. And so it took him more time. You think he charged the patient for that? No, he didn't. So you at least owe them half of what they sent you. They sent you $8,000. Let's make it nice and easy because I'm an easy girl. And you didn't send them half the T-shirts. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to talk about the T-shirts that you did send them. Because are we finished with the ones that you didn't?
Yep.
Yep. Now we're going to go to the ones that they did send, and you have to show me why they were unsatisfactory. Pick it up.
Perfect. So this is the sample that we received from him. So like the way samples work is he'll send us the clothing, we'll A-OK it. So we A-OK this. This is a large, by the way. Everything's perfect, everything's great.
Okay, good.
So let me show you the XL and the small.
So this right here I'm holding is an XL. The difference. You want to see another thing?
Smaller.
This is what I'm holding is a small. We ordered 4 small sizes: small, medium, large, and XL.
Hold on, can I see the smalls?
Yeah.
Can I see?
Oh, still sorry. Here you go.
No. Well, this could be a small, a big small, but small. Can I see the extra small, please?
Extra large.
Extra large?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same exact size.
They're the same size. The small and the extra large, if you hold them up together, they're exactly the same size.
Lexi, hold these up together, would you please? Let me see. You said they're the same size. I don't think so. Could I? One certainly looked bigger to me, but not a small and an extra large. Okay, now this is what I'd like you to do, Cassandra. I want you to send these over to the defendant, and I'd like him to explain to me why these are the same size. One is labeled small, one is labeled extra large. This has nothing to do with a change of design. Mm-hmm. This has to do with almost math, which, as we all know, is not my strong suit. Okay, so now give me an explanation, sir. This has nothing to do with changing of the design. That has to do with 2 T-shirts that are exactly the same. One says small, one says extra large. Explain it.
This is a very simple fix, so there was just an issue with the tag in the labeling.
Just a second. That's what you sent them.
Yeah, that's
Just
exactly my explanation. No, well, this is for the actual garment. What I was referring to was the print on the design.
No, I'm talking about the actual garment. Did you send that to them?
I did send
Just a second. You sent that to them with the label that was mislabeled.
Correct.
Okay, how many of the mislabeled T-shirts did you send them?
It's a very common mistake in manufacturing. I'm not sure. They didn't give me a number of how many were messed up.
How many?
Exactly 73.
You see, what the problem, Mr. Garcia, is They can't sell those online because if somebody calls and orders a small and they send them a small, it's an extra large. Or if somebody calls and orders an extra large and they get it and it's got a small.
And that could be easily fixed by just changing
Who
the tag.
cares?
Yeah.
You know, my face can be easily fixed.
Both.
Not so easily anymore.
These are all just fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, they can all be fixed.
Yeah.
When it happens, it doesn't always like have to be sent out.
Yada, 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 yada. Okay, so half you didn't send them and 73 you sent them wrong. Of the other half, 73 you sent them
Labeled
wrong.
Correct.
You sent them wrong that they can't resell as you sent them online. I mean, they could send them to a pop-up store and sell them for nothing.
Or
and
donate
say,
them.
you know, you try it on and see whether it fits you. But you can't sell them online. Otherwise, their business would be destroyed. Okay, what about the rest? Now we're finished with the sizes.
He has claimed to sent us over 180 shirts. That's incorrect. He sent us 123 exactly.
Do you have any proof that you sent them 180 shirts?
I had them in text messages, but I don't have that phone. But I mean, I'm sure that.
Everybody that has no case has no phone.
I mean, I have.
Mr. Garcia, everybody that has no proof,
pictures, yes. I have
everyone
photos.
then show it to me that you sent them 180 shirts.
Well, I don't have all 180 in the picture. I don't know if you'll be able to count them, but.
You want me to count them? You're
Not
in
necessarily.
business. Mr. Garcia.
You want to show her?
No, you're in business, sir. That's not the way you run a business. 120 they sent, and of the 120, how many were you able to sell?
Out of the 120.
Just a second. And out of the 120, does that include the 73 that were wrong size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that includes.
So
the
we're
70
left with only 50 that weren't labeled incorrectly.
How many shirts did he send you that you were able to sell
0. We sold none of his shirts.
because they were mislabeled or you didn't
Mislabeled
get
or
them?
misprinted and didn't get them.
Great. Do you have any text messages between the two of you?
So many.
Anything in specific?
I'd like you to show me one where you say to him, we cannot sell these shirts, they're the wrong size.
We'll show you the demand letter. So we sent him a demand letter, hoping that he'd still try to solve it outside of court, but he never replied to it and just never sent us
So right
anything.
here, it'd be us telling him that the items received were not as promised, and the other side would be the lawsuit issue.
Okay.
You say in this demand letter that you are requesting, first of all, he doesn't communicate with you when you send him information back and forth. So you say, sir, since you do not wish to communicate us, here's an official demand letter.
Yes.
You say that you paid him $15,986.
Correct.
Well, that's not what your lawsuit is here.
Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Uloa have accused their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, of owing them a refund after sending the wrong T-shirts.
Okay, did he send you any T-shirts?
No T-shirts.
So how much did you pay him?
All in all, minus the setup fees that we're also suing for, it is exactly.
No.
Oh, sorry.
I want to know where the $15,986 comes from.
So in this order, we did order 320 pairs of shirts, but we also ordered 240 pairs of shorts that we're not suing for.
Why?
He fulfilled that.
He fulfilled the short section.
He filled the short
Yeah,
section.
fulfilled the shorts.
Is that what's on your website for sale?
Yes.
Yes.
The shorts.
The
Correct.
shorts.
The shorts. So it's just the
shirts.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
Shirts.
So you did fulfill the order for the shorts.
Correct.
Do you have a pair of those shorts for me to see? I would just like to take a look at them.
No.
We did not because we weren't aware. We weren't suing for those.
No, I understand that. Did he get the shorts with the same screening as on those, or are they different?
Different screen.
Different design.
So different setup fees, different screens. We paid for that. We're not suing for that portion.
We have
Just
invoices for them though.
Can I see?
Yeah. Shorts.
Because there were shorts on their website, right?
It might be in there.
Are they blue?
Right there.
Yeah,
Blue,
they're
red,
blue,
and black.
red, and black.
Blue, red, and black. And they just have a little design on
Yeah,
it.
correct.
These are
Okay.
all invoices, but if you want to show a specific,
And they were okay.
they're gonna.
Yeah, they're
here.
okay.
Okay. Well, they're on your website, so you're selling them.
Yeah. So that's gonna be shorts for prints, and we also.
The T-shirts are not on their website, correct?
There are some.
Can I see?
There are 2. One T-shirt.
Yeah, that's not it.
One T-shirt down.
And that's not it. Okay. So those Those are not on the website.
And,
Got it.
And one other, but that's also
That's
not it.
not it. That's certainly not those T-shirts, not the same screen.
Something missing in there is the invoice for the shorts material. We are suing for the screens in that. That's the only reason that invoice is here. Because he charged us for owning of screens and films that he told us we had to pay for that we owned and we never received as well.
Screens and film.
Yeah, so when...
Tell me, explain that to me.
So when making clothing, you pay for garments and then you have to pay for screens and film. So screens is like these big metal square frames and then you put a film.
Did you pay for those?
Yes. We did, which are in those invoices. The only invoice we're missing is our shorts.
Did you receive those screens?
Well, I made them, so yeah, I had them.
Did you charge them?
Yes, I did charge them for them.
And where are they?
Well, we don't turn in the screen, so so the way that screen printing works is that when you burn screen, you hold them for only 2 months. You don't store them for months and months on end, so after 2 months, if they're not being used, if we're not printing with them, we recycle them.
Mm-hmm.
The films is just a piece of paper that I do have handy, so.
He told us that we own them and we could receive them whenever we want them for future references. So that's why we had asked for the...
So you destroy them?
Correct.
Okay. So there we get to the $9,000. Actually, $9,100. Are you, Mr. Garcia, is your company incorporated in California? I forgot the answer to that question. Is not an answer.
No, I'm self-employed.
You're self-employed? You have a company, you said?
Yeah.
Well, if you have a company, then you have to be incorporated.
Well, have like an LLC, is that what you're referring to?
Or an LLC. Do you have an LLC?
I do have an LLC, yes.
Do you have what's the name of it?
MFP Studios.
Do you find that registered in the state of California? Is it registered, sir?
It shouldn't, yeah, but it probably won't be under that name. It would be under All Hills.
Under what?
All Hills.
So a different name.
I have the paperwork. I don't know. Doing business as MFP Studios.
Why?
And that's just the way that I was set up. So when I got an LLC, it was through one of my business partners at first. So then he just gave me
How many business partners do you have?
I just have one.
Who is
well,
that?
He's not even a business partner. He just gave me that LLC so I could use it.
Great.
Yeah.
We're finished here. You haven't used his services. I can't say company. You haven't used his services since
No.
2022.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $9,100. We're finished.
Thank you, Your
Case
Honor.
is now
Thank you.
closed. Court is adjourned.
She sided with them, and I just got to keep doing my business and just keep going, man.
I like that she was able to see that he was clearly taking advantage of us, so I'm happy she saw the same thing we saw.
It's just something that happens in this business. It happens more often than you think. Overseas, there's a bunch of cases. I don't know if she's familiar with the business, or I'm not sure. I know that it happens often. It was an easy fix. They could have still sold the shirts, but I just think they just didn't want to do it.
Why would he bother sending these knowing we never agreed on it?
If you've really been in the business, there's ways to do it where you can still sell it and make your money back to where you have a good relationship with your manufacturer.
Never tried working with us. Like, he would barely even respond. Like, he actually stopped even communicating with me because I threatened to sue him once. So then he started communicating with him.
But if, you come and you're just, I want a full refund, it's going to be very hard to even fix the issue versus just, it's more of a fix the issue thing than get everything done all over again.
But we tried our best for a whole year and nothing was happening. So that's when we're like, you know what? We can't let somebody walk all over us like this because it's our company. It's going to be detrimental if we wait even longer because it was past a year. So that's when we decided to sue them.
The constant changes, they weren't comprehending with my time schedules in terms of how I did things, and it didn't work out. They're also a long distance client. My clients usually come into my warehouse. We're more hands-on, so I don't think it's a good fit.
Definitely take baby steps, live and learn. You're gonna fall a little bit. It's just how you get back up.
A big lesson learned, for sure.
Rise to the occasion. That's what we always say. We'll be back better than ever.
My biggest takeaway was the power of credibility. Those plaintiffs came in, they knew exactly how much they paid for each item, they knew exactly what they received, and they had receipts to back it up. And when you have your day in court, it's important you have your arms fully around your own case.
Yeah. And it only made the defendant look that more implausible.
Absolutely.
Navas Sr. is suing his son, Marvin Navas Jr., for bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3087, Navas versus Navas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How old are you, Mr. Navas?
25.
How long have you been living at home with your mother and father?
All my life.
Are you still living there?
Not right now at the moment, no.
Where are you living?
With my grandma in Van Nuys.
And you left because you had a disagreement with your father.
A huge argument, yes, ma'am.
Some time ago, you're going to tell me the date, police stopped you in your car, correct?
Correct.
On what date was that?
About 2 years ago, Super Bowl Sunday, on February 14th.
On Valentine's Day.
I believe so, ma'am.
2022.
2022, yes.
And you were stopped because, according to what I read, you were smoking, but you must have been smoking something other than cigarettes.
Marijuana, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay. In what state do you live?
California.
Was smoking marijuana in a car? You were the driver of the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Is that illegal in the state of California?
I believe so.
I would say so, just like you can't have a bottle of vodka and drinking it while you're driving. And when the police stopped you for committing a crime, which endangered a lot of people because, you know, when you're not totally together, you're not supposed to be driving a car, they found 2 handguns.
Correct.
Who else was in the car? It's not funny. I happen to not think it's funny. I know that you think it's funny, but it's not funny.
I mean, I got off scot-free, so I'm not facing 10 years.
How many other people were in the car?
I believe 4 other people had a full car.
You know how many other people were in the car. You were driving.
I just said 4, ma'am.
4 others.
Yeah, full car.
And where were the guns found, sir?
I don't know. I was not the police, so.
No, but you were in the car. Don't be a wise guy with me, because I eat people like you for breakfast. I don't think you're either cute or accomplished. You're neither cute or accomplished.
I know I'm
At
cute.
age 25,
I know
you don't
I'm
live
cute.
on your own. You either live with your mother or your father. Then when they throw you out, you go and live with your grandmother. I neither think that you're cute or accomplished. Maybe young girls do. I'm an old lady. I fail to see your attractiveness, and I fail to see how any of this is funny.
You ever see my smile, man? That's pretty attractive.
It depends. Let me ask around. You find that attractive? No. Whitney, you're younger than I am, a little bit older than Sarah. You find that attractive?
They want to keep their job.
It's not only not attractive, but when your grandmother watches that, she's going to think you're a fool, along with a lot of other people. And it's going to be my joy, my absolute joy, to fill in the blanks. So you don't know where the 2 other guns were found, and everything got thrown out. So now you have no adult criminal record.
Correct.
Did you have a juvenile criminal record? Answer the question. Did you have a juvie record? Of course you did. You know everything. Wise guys like you always have a juvie record. So when they booked you, they put you in jail. Now, as a juvie, you had been taken into custody before, but I don't think that you had been put in an adult kind of situation, in an adult facility. So let me ask you a question. Did you call your girlfriend?
Nope.
Did you call your priest?
Nope.
Did you call your family physician?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll assume, for the record, Whitney, I'm going to assume that this accomplished 25-year-old who lives under the auspices of his parents or his grandma doesn't know how to say no, or no, ma'am, or no, Your Honor. He says no. I assume, sir, that you are not a graduate of any university.
Nope.
No. See. So you didn't call any of those people. Who? They gave you a phone call. Who did you call?
I called my dad, tell him to get me out.
Just a second. You called your dad. I'm 24 years old, and I live with you. I was smoking in the car, and they called me over, and they had 2 guns, and I'm in jail now. Yeah. What did you call your father for?
To get me out.
Why?
It's his job to protect me, right? You have kids,
What?
ma'am? You have kids, ma'am?
5 and 13 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild. And I want to tell you something. This is one of them. And the last person they would call, any of them, if they got pulled over smoking a joint and there were guns found, the very last person that they would call is me. That's the very last person they would call. And they actually consider me a pretty good mother and grandmother. but they know you're going to act like a fool, call somebody else. So you called your daddy. You called your daddy. No, you called your daddy.
My father.
You called your daddy and you said, come and get me out. And he did. And he got you out. He paid a bail bondsman, which is what this case is about. You think this was going to be easy? Not easy. You don't mind my doing that to him, do you?
No, ma'am.
Great. Are you his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your only son?
He's my only son.
He's your only son. I could tell. I could tell. It's nothing against you, but you can always tell when a little boy has been pampered by his mother and thinks that he's the cat's meow, even though he's unaccomplished. And he got you out, and he got you a lawyer. And that's what this case is about, Mr. Navas.
Yes, ma'am.
This is about the bail and the money that you spent on a lawyer.
That he spent.
Don't speak.
That he
If you speak, unless I speak to you, sir, I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Sorry.
Or I'm going to tell Kevin to put you in your seat.
Sorry, ma'am.
Very good. So when I speak to you, like I did before, you can answer me. Now I'm speaking to your daddy. You got a tax return.
Navas Sr. claims his son, Marvin Navas Jr., owes for the cost of bail and attorney fees after his son was arrested for illegal firearms.
Okay, so you are suing him for the $2,800 or whatever it was for the bail bondsman, and you also paid an attorney $14,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you paid this money to the lawyer and to the bail bondsman, what kind of work was your son doing?
Before that, he was working for a security company.
Okay. As a what?
In the warehouse.
So he was working at a minimum wage kind of job.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you knew that he didn't have $14,000 or $16,000. You knew that he didn't have that. And he's living with you instead of living on his own because he's not even earning enough money to have his own apartment or to pay for his own gas, electric, utilities, water, heat, air conditioning. So he's living in his room, in his old room.
Yes, ma'am.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed.
It's not completely dismissed, ma'am. The statute of limitation hasn't expired.
So is the case still pending?
Yes, because I have this email that...
Can I see what he's got?
Yes, ma'am.
So the case has not been dismissed?
No, ma'am.
The DA just hasn't filed on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, got it now. Okay, so I can't ask him anything else about these pending charges because right now his attorney's not here, and his attorney would not like for me to do that. Now, was your son still working in the warehouse when you had this incident with him that caused him to move out?
No, not when he moved out, ma'am. No.
Where was he working?
He wasn't. He got laid off.
When did he get laid off?
I gotta say, probably like August.
August of 2023?
2022.
22? Oh.
That's 23, actually. 23, actually.
Well, but this is interesting, sir.
That's right.
Because you say in your complaint that the charges were fully dropped against him in March of 2023, but that's not so.
That's what I assume, ma'am.
Well, no, but it wasn't, not according to this letter.
No, the reason I got that email from the lawyer, ma'am, is because I reached out to her to ask her about the bail bond exoneration letter, because my name was on the bail bond, and then that's when she sent that email stating that.
Okay. So now I want you to tell me, sir. You see, the boy.
The man.
The boy says that he never had an agreement with you.
Never did.
To pay. He never had an agreement with you to pay you back. And that what you did because he's your son and you're his father. And the reason that you threw him out of the house was that you came home from work one day. What kind of work do you do?
I'm in sales, ma'am.
That you came home from work one day, he was not working, and he was, according to you, according to your papers, he was lying on the couch and smoking marijuana.
Well,
that's what you say here.
Yeah, what happened, ma'am, is it was on a weekend. I was drinking a beer
and he went out, he left, came back, and he smelled like marijuana in front of me. And I said, then that's when I asked him, I go, if you got money to buy marijuana, how come you're not making me whole on this? You made some payments on this, because when he filed his income taxes on the years before, we will keep his returns to put towards what he owned.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you had an agreement with him for when he got a refund on his taxes that he would give you that money?
He was making payments before.
He was making payments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did he make in payments?
He made a total of about $2,500.
Can I see the document that you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay. This says that you did, in fact, make some payments to your father. Income tax return, and that was in April of 2023 that you did, in fact, make a payment to him of $1,222. Is that correct?
I believe so. If it says
Just a second. I'm asking you a question, boy.
If it says right there, I don't recall that, so.
Okay. Do you recall that you got a refund on your taxes?
Maybe. It could have been a stimulus check. I don't know.
All right. Well, I can see I'm not getting anywhere with you because you're a moron. And what you really don't know, sir, is how to read the room. And, you know, sometimes people learn that when they're very young. Sarah learned how to read the room when she was 3. Doesn't require an education. It requires listening to what's going on around you. So if you listen to what I was asking you before, it's perfectly logical that your father might think that because you had money to go out and buy weed, you should be paying him. But in reality, he had no expectation of being repaid because you had either no job or a low-paying job. That's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to think as a parent. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But when I ask you, and I'm sure that you remember because we're not talking about something that happened 10 years ago, but a few months ago, you got a tax return, $1,200, and you gave it to your father. That's either a yes or a no. That's not I don't remember. I don't remember means that you're dull-witted. Are you dull-witted?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You're not dull-witted. You're a wise ass, but you're not dull-witted. Then you made several other payments. In April of 2022, you again gave your father $1,123. Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
No.
He could have typed that up yesterday.
He could have. Just a second. He could have. So what you're telling me is that you never made any payments to your father.
Not that I recall, ma'am.
No, that's not an I don't recall. That means
is accusing his son, Marvin Novis Jr., for refusing to pay back bail money and attorney fees after his son was arrested.
Now, if you in fact made payments to him, you would know. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I did pay him some money when I could, when I was working, or when I got my tax return. You're a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. So I want you to think hard. Don't give me I don't remember. Did you or did you not give your father your income tax refund in 2022 and 2023?
Yes.
Perfect. That's all we need to know. Now I know that you're just a wise guy, but you're not dull-witted. Okay. So actually, the junior.
Not a junior.
You are his junior. Your last name is Navas?
Navas.
Navas. Well, he's the senior here today. You're the junior.
If you say so, ma'am.
Yes, I do say so. And I have to tell you, sir, that but for the fact that your son has acknowledged that he turned over to you his income tax returns as partial payment for this lawyer, I would actually dismiss your case. I'm telling you, I would dismiss your case. Because you actually did what a parent is supposed to do when their ne'er-do-well kid acts like a moron, smokes dope in a car with 4 other morons, 2 of whom have guns. You know? But you don't want him to go to prison, and you've probably gone to pick him up at police stations before.
Yes, ma'am.
When he was young. Now he's getting older. The only thing that I can suggest to you is, despite the fact that your wife adores him, you know, he's her baby, You have to let him stand on his own because he's a wise guy. And somebody's going to hurt him one day.
And that's who?
Somebody's going to hurt him one day.
Who? That's
yeah.
That's my
that kind of
fear.
wise guy always gets himself into trouble. Always. But for these 2 payments, I would have dismissed your case. However, he did make 2 payments, which he acknowledges, so the debt is real. He acknowledges that it was a debt by making 2 payments. Do you have the bill from the lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
Here's the bill. Here's the receipt. And this is what we paid.
May I see the bill for the bail bondsman?
Yes, ma'am. Here's the bill, and then this is the email that will correspond with the stuff with the lawyer. I got you an email that.
Okay. Is he living with your mother or your wife's mother?
My mother.
Your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
How does she feel about that?
She loves me.
Shh. I didn't ask you anything.
You know, she loves him. She's torn up.
She have anybody else living with her?
My brother.
Mm-hmm. And to the best of your knowledge, is your son working now?
No, I don't know. I haven't spoken to him since May. This is the first time I've seen him.
Are you currently employed?
I'm looking for work. No, I'm not employed right now. I'm looking for work.
Okay. Well, in case you find work, I'm entering a judgment on behalf of your father for $10,000, which is the court's legal limit. He paid the lawyer a minimum of $10,000, and he paid the bail bondsman. I would hope that your legal case ends well for you, sir.
Appreciate it, ma'am.
I do hope it ends well. And it seems to me that you have certain innate intelligence. If you waste it, it's your life that you're wasting, nobody else's. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I don't think it was fair. You know, my dad spent his own money. He paid the lawyer himself. He got the bail bonds himself. I just made one call when I was in jail.
I was very happy with it. You know, I needed to have this foreclosure.
I believe he was my dad. It was obligations to, you know, for his son to just get me out. I don't think I owe him a dime.
Well, you know, if that's what he thinks. So what can I do? All you can do is be a father.
He's not really a crier like that. So for him just to fake cry in front of the judge, I think it's ridiculous.
I just didn't want him to go and be in a situation that it'll be worse for him.
To be honest, I won't speak to him for a very long time. If we reconcile, we reconcile, but my focus is just my 3 girls, my mom, my 2 little sisters.
And hopefully our relationship can move on and get better.
I'm cute, but not going to jail, man.
It's just tough love, and I just got to learn that, you know, deal with it as they come and be prepared.
You know, sometimes I take for granted the legalese and the elements that are in the background of my mind when we listen to litigants out here. Because I know for you and for me, as soon as we heard that he made just 1 payment, that's acknowledgement of the debt. And therefore, he knew it wasn't just his dad being the best dad in the world, getting him out of jail, but a loan and an acknowledgement of a debt if he paid 1 payment. He didn't know that. He thought that it was going to be great for him that he paid. I paid him. I gave him the money. The rest of it was just him being a good dad. You know, so he didn't know which way to go. He didn't know which way was up or down. He didn't know what was good for him, bad for him. But
you know, what I found interesting about that young man is he clearly intelligent.
Sure.
And he spoke too much out of turn, but he was clearly articulate. You know, life is a journey. It has a beginning, a middle, and unfortunately for everybody, it has an end. In between is your journey. Mm-hmm. And that is a wasted journey because he's just a wise guy. Yeah. And he's not taking advantage of these wonderful innate gifts that he has of being able to communicate and being nice looking and looking healthy. Just a waste. Yeah. And it's really too bad because the journey is finite. What you do with it is yours.
Case number 3033, Helmanen versus Allen. All parties, please step forward.
Mary Helmanen is suing her ex-boyfriend, Lamar Allen, for the balance of a cosmetic dental loan.
Pronounce your last name.
Helmanen.
Mr. Allen was your boyfriend for a period of time?
Yes.
Doesn't appear to be a long period of time, relatively short period of time. I think if my memory is correct, you met him in October online.
Yeah.
And by December, you were planning a trip to Colombia in order to have dental work done there, cosmetic dental work done.
Yes.
You suggested, according to what I've read, that he join you.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that at some point you said to him, you're really not comfortable traveling to South America by yourself?
Yes.
And that you would feel more comfortable if he came with you?
Yes.
At the time, in October, November, and December of last year, what kind of work were you doing?
I'm a nurse practitioner.
How long have you been doing that?
Since 2017.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a firefighter.
Now, Mr. Allen, I'm going to come to you. The plaintiff, a very lovely-looking lady, wanted to get laminates. Laminates?
Porcelain.
Porcelain. Perfect. I come from a long line of dentists.
Okay.
I was very bad in biology and chemistry, so I went to law school. Mr. Allen.
Yes.
You have very nice teeth.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Who paid for them?
Mary did.
So, Mr. Allen, what I want you to do is explain to me, I understand that the plaintiff was going to Colombia to get her dental work done because it was cheaper there. And that you were short-term then boyfriend, which is over now, I assume.
Yes, correct.
I want you to tell me how it came about that you went to Colombia with her and got your teeth done.
Okay. Never thought my teeth was an issue as far as us dating. Then we got there to Colombia.
So you didn't discuss your teeth being done before you got to Colombia?
Correct.
You're kidding me.
Correct.
You were just going to go. Who booked the tickets?
Mary did.
Who paid for them?
Mary did.
Who booked the hotel?
Mary did.
Who paid for the hotel?
Mary did.
We did talk about it before.
Just a minute. Mr. Allen, I want you to be very, very careful with me because I read her complaint and I read your answer. And the complaint suggested that you had a price for your teeth
Yes.
before you got there.
Yes.
Well, if you had a price for your dental work, cosmetic dental work, before you got there, you had to have had some discussion about paying for it.
Yes.
Yes. Well, tell me what that discussion was.
After she brought it up, then I researched for us, like sending them information for us with my teeth for us, like how much.
Okay, so when you researched it, she gave you the name of the people
dental.
she was going
Correct.
to see in Colombia.
I was writing them back and forth through
How are you writing?
Instagram. They had a page.
Okay, so who was writing them? You were writing them?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so then it's a fair statement that you had a price from them before you went there.
Yes.
Now, how much was your dental work?
$4,200.
Ultimately, how much was your dental work?
Came to 8,000.
How much were you quoted before in this back and forth Instagram that you were doing? How much were you quoted?
It was roughly around 6,000. They quoted me.
Let me see.
I don't have it with me.
Why not? Where did you think you were going today?
Mary Helmanen claims her ex-boyfriend, Lamar Allen, owes for the balance of a cosmetic dental loan.
I'd like to see any evidence that you have. You have nothing. What is that you're showing
So
me?
I have the credit card information.
I don't need the credit card information. You paid for him.
Right.
And you paid for him in December of 2022.
Yes.
You paid for him to go, you paid for his... I want to see something from December of 2022 or January or February. Now, when did you break up?
We broke up in December.
In December, when you came back?
Yes.
Okay, something either in December, January, or February where you ask him for the money that you claim that he owes you. Show me.
Okay.
Text message.
I have a lot of that.
Good. I'd like to see him.
Okay.
Thank you.
The dates are on the top.
Yes, I'm definitely going to pay you back. I'm not going to leave you hanging, especially not owing $8,000. Seriously. Is that what you wrote to her?
Yes. I said I was gonna pay you the difference.
No, that's not what you say here.
I know, but I said that just to get off my back for our site.
She says, take out a personal loan. You say, I'm definitely not going to do that.
Correct.
I'll start paying you off.
Correct.
Or I'll start paying the credit card off. She said, I paid the credit card off. Yes, I'm definitely going to pay you back. I'm not going to leave you with $8,000. Well, then start. I'm not playing your games. I did you a favor. What's a Meeks?
Oh, it's my dog.
So your dog got lost.
Yeah.
And that was your priority in February.
Yeah, of course. My dog was.
And 20 weeks from November, that's when you told me, so hopefully it'll be April, and April 19th, so that's when you told her you would be able to pay her back.
Yeah, because I already gave him the date.
I don't care. Well, there's no question based on this, sir, that you agreed to pay her back $8,000, which is what your dental bill was.
At first, I didn't want to get him done when I got there.
What?
I said I did not want to get him done when I got there. After they said the price was different, I told her no. I said I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to make you pay that much. So I told her no.
Not in these emails. You got the teeth, she got the bill.
I told her not to do it when it happened.
You had to
I
go
said
like
no.
this. Look at me. You had to go like this.
No, she agreed. She said, she said I'll pay for him. She said, well, we're already here. I'll pay for him. I said, no, I don't want to do it. It's too much money. So I said no.
Listen to me. You said no. You had to go like this.
But she said I'd do it. She's like, oh, well, I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. Just pay me whenever you get your money. So I agreed with paying the difference, which is $3,000. Like I'm not gonna pay her the whole eight grand.
She may have found you adorable. Other people may find you adorable. Me, not so much, maybe because I'm old. You told her you were going to give her back the $8,000 that it costs to do your teeth. You told her that in February. You said, I'm going to give it back to you. I'm just waiting for my refund check from the IRS. Then it was your dog that got lost. Did you ever find your dog?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy for you.
Appreciate it.
And I'm happy for you that you have nice new teeth and that you have a nice smile. You owe her $8,000. Did you have a nice trip to Colombia? She flew you there. She put you up in a hotel. I don't know who paid for the meals.
I paid for the meals. I paid for everything prior to that, and after that, like I was paying it back, and because we're together, we're a couple.
Yes, then you were a couple. Now you're not a couple anymore. Someone else is going to look at those pearlies and say, "I love you." Do you understand? You have to pay for that. You know, you have to pay for that. You're a responsible man. You have a responsible job. Take care of yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. No. If you let a woman take care of you,
no woman
take care of you. If you let a woman take care of you, you're not taking care of yourself. You're a big, strong guy, and you told her you were going to pay her. That's what you did. So you got to pay her, Mr. Allen. You have to stop being a big baby. You have to pay her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I said no one was there. We was like, well, I just paid you the difference, not the whole full amount.
I'm happy with her decision. It was fair.
She said, well, I paid for it. It'll be a gift for you. So I'm like, okay, well, then I'll do it.
I would have never given him $8,000 for free.
I guess everything changes when you break up.
I was really patient with him in paying me back, and I've never seen a cent.
Don't trust women.
He's got his teeth forever, you know?
I got a great smile, so I guess it's okay.
I'm not going to buy anyone teeth.
I think it's always risky to go to another country for any medical procedure. I mean, I'm familiar with U.S. laws, not so familiar with Colombia or anywhere else, or the guarantees for any sort of health procedure. I mean, worst case scenario, you don't come home. Best case scenario, you have cheap dental work. So
or cheap cosmetic.
Exactly, any type of surgery.
Yeah,
but it's always a risk in multiple forums, in your health, in your payment of money to another country that you're unfamiliar with their entire banking systems and how that works. It seems very complicated.
Very complicated. And I don't know if you remember, recently, a group of women went to Mexico. One of them went to have some cosmetic procedure, and it was dangerous there.
Yeah.
And one of them ended up not coming home.
Exactly. At the end of the day, he has the teeth.
At the end of the day, he has
She has the
teeth.
credit card bill.
Now, at least she's repaid. And I understand why some people, with the cost of medical cosmetic work here in the United States, would feel compelled to look somewhere to get it done cheaper. Sure. And, you know, most people who have any kind of cosmetic work done, whether it be dental or otherwise, interview the doctor or dentist before, have consultations. There you're just going and saying, here I am, fix me. And I think that that's a very risky thing to do, although his teeth look terrific.
Is suing his former friend, Tony Woods, for car damages after a night of drinking and driving.
Court come to order.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2018, Gray versus Woods.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Everybody sober today? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes.
You?
Yes, I'm sober.
Yes?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Everybody. Okay, good. You two gentlemen know each other. You went out for an evening. I assume there was some drinking, and your car got totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendant was driving your car when it got totaled.
Yes.
The defendant says he was drinking a little bit, but he says that you don't remember because you were so blotto that you were driving. Right?
Yes.
So that's what the case is about. Simple. Two drunks, nobody knows who was driving the car when it got totaled. Let's see if we can decipher it. If we can't, I may not care. Because you're not supposed to be in a car when you're drunk. Otherwise, you can kill a lot of people, as we all know. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Want to drive drunk and kill yourself, that's one thing. Right? You take a lot of other people down, and sometimes you make it out. So you have to be understanding to the fact that the judicial system really doesn't give a rat's behind if the two of you were drunk and in a car, and neither one of you was together enough to know who was driving the car. Yeah. When did this incident happen?
It was November 27th, 2021.
How long have you known Mr. Woods, Mr. Gray?
I've known Mr. Woods about 20 years, I would say.
So you've known him since you were kids?
Yeah, since high school.
And you have gone out frequently?
Yes.
Does he come to your house?
Yes.
You go to his house?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally. And where were you going on the 27th of November?
We were going downtown Ann Arbor to attend some festivities from the Michigan versus Ohio State football game.
To a football event.
Yeah.
How did Mr. Woods get downtown?
Well, Your Honor, I got dropped off.
By whom?
My friend.
Friend's name?
Lauren.
And where did she drop you off?
She dropped me off in front of the Starbucks downtown where they were waiting because they were drunk. I didn't drink.
Just a second. Lauren dropped you off at Starbucks. Where were you supposed to go from Starbucks?
We were supposed to go to a club and hang out after the game.
So you first went to the game?
No, they went downtown right after the game, and I came to meet up to hang out.
So it was all after the game?
Yes.
What time did Lauren drop Mr. Woods off at Starbucks?
I would say it was around like 3, 4 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
I believe so.
What time did Lauren drop you off?
It had to be about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
And when you say it had to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock, how do you know that?
Because the game was over.
I don't know. I don't watch football, so I don't know when it starts and when it finished. Do you remember what time the game finished?
No, I don't remember exactly.
Okay, so let's say Lauren dropped you off at 5:30. How did you set the time for Mr. Woods to meet you so that he could join your party? The game is over different times. Did you text him? Did he call you?
So on the way, we had left from my barbershop, me and my witness here, Mo Chop.
So you weren't at the game, you were in a barbershop?
Yeah, we were at the barbershop at first. We watched the game.
Oh, you watched, so you didn't go to the game?
We didn't attend the actual game, no.
Okay.
We watched the game at the
How many people, you, Mohammed, and who else watched the game at the barbershop?
I mean, the barbershop was full of, we were still working at the time. We had left work after the game was over to go downtown to...
Were you watching the game or were you working?
I was doing both.
I would have hated to be your last haircut.
No, actually, it wasn't a lot of people there because that was the biggest game of Michigan's season, the last game, Ohio State. It's a big rivalry, so nobody was at our barbershop.
So
really.
It was just party? It was...
It was just party.
You know, I'm old,
Yeah.
so, you know, it was just party. You said, Mohammed?
It was a party.
It was just party. Okay, so you left the barbershop, but how did you find out to meet them at the Starbucks?
We had been communicating through text.
So you knew what time they were leaving the barbershop, and then you got dropped off. Now, what were you doing with Lauren?
I was waiting to get to them.
Where were you before?
I was at home. I watched the game at home.
With Lauren?
No, with myself.
Well, how'd you get Lauren to take you to Starbucks?
Oh, I just asked her and gave her some gas money.
Okay, so now you're at Starbucks, you meet up, and who's driving?
I was driving.
Okay, and that would have been a mistake.
Excuse me?
That would have been a mistake. I wouldn't get behind the wheel of a car, sir, if I was at a party all afternoon watching a big football game.
Ma'am, I wasn't at a party. I was at my barbershop.
I know you were at your barbershop.
Yeah.
Here, look at Mohammed. I know you were at your barbershop, sir.
There had been any drinking going on at that time.
There was no drinking in the barbershop, Mohammed?
There was people participating. Some people weren't. Some people were. I wasn't. I wasn't participating.
All righty. Okay. So now you go from this party in the barbershop all afternoon from this very big game, and you pick him up, and where were you going?
At that point, we decided to go to a bar.
Where was the bar?
I'm not familiar with downtown Ann Arbor area, but like it was a bar that was suggested by.
Stand up next to him. He's not familiar with a whole lot of things. You suggested a particular bar, Mohammed?
Yeah,
How far is that from the Starbucks where he was dropped off?
about a couple blocks over.
Okay, and you were in the car?
I was in the car.
Were you sitting in the front or the back when you picked up Mr. Woods?
I was sitting in the passenger seat at this point.
So Mr. Woods got in the back?
Yes, he did.
And you were going a couple of blocks to the bar?
Yeah.
Step by step, what happened next?
So traffic is jam-packed down there, so we really just inching to the bar. We get to the bar, we go inside, we have a couple drinks.
Okay, so now it maybe 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
6:30?
Yeah. Dark outside.
And you have a couple of drinks at the bar?
Couple drinks, yeah.
What were you drinking?
I was drinking water.
That's not a drink that they like to serve at a bar.
I was a designated driver, so after we left the bar.
Okay, so you were the designated driver,
Yeah.
and Mr. Gray was drinking.
Yes.
What was he drinking?
I don't remember what his drink is.
You remember what you were drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
I had one beer.
Okay. Even he can't keep a straight face. You know, it's hard. It just, don't speak. Now, you were the designated driver. When were you designated the designated driver?
Well,
think very careful. Before you answer my questions, you know.
Okay.
I'm already 2 steps ahead of this game. When were you,
I've watched you on TV, yes, I know.
when were you designated the designated driver?
When we left the bar, I was the designated driver.
No. So it was when you left the bar?
Yes.
And who designated you the designated driver?
Well, I kind of designated myself. I'm pretty familiar with the Ann Arbor area. It's actually my idea to go downtown, so.
So you asked Mr. Gray if you could drive?
Yeah, I thought it would be the best idea.
And Mr. Gray said okay?
Yes, he did.
So you drove, and where were you going from the bar?
To another bar.
Better pickings at the other bar?
Just bar hopping, you know, college, downtown, football.
Okay, and what's the name of that bar?
Where do we go from there?
No. Speak, unless I look at you. The name of the other bar. Okay, now he helped you with that, right?
Yeah, he jogged my memory a little bit.
He jogged your memory.
Yeah.
So if he knew the bar, why did you have to be the designated driver?
I don't think I understand your question.
It's very easy. You said you were the designated driver because you know that area.
Right. I'm saying I didn't remember what bar we went to. I'm very familiar with the area. I just didn't remember what bar we were going to that night.
Okay. What happened when you got to the second bar?
We had some more drinks and...
we had some more drinks?
Yes.
What was Mr. Gray drinking?
You know, I was talking to some other friends that I met up with there. He was off doing his own thing. I don't remember what he was drinking.
What were you drinking?
Water still at this point. Water. Yeah. I like to stay hydrated.
Claims his former friend, Tony Woods, drove drunk and crashed his car. Tony says Daniel was the one driving drunk and wrecked his own car.
Okay, so now you had a couple of drinks. You had another glass of water.
Yes.
Mr. Gray and Mr. Woods both were drinking alcohol. And what happened next?
We left there. We went to get something to eat.
Where did you go to eat?
We went to, what's the name of that place?
I don't know the name of the place, and he's not going to tell you.
It's a hot dog place. It's right around the corner from where we was drinking.
And then what happened there?
We got something to eat.
Okay, do you remember what time that was?
You know, I really don't.
Well, you've been already to two bars and a
yeah.
place to eat. So, and if you started out at 6 o'clock, it had to be closer to 9 or 10 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
Okay, then what happened?
Came out of the restaurant. And
you remember what you had at the restaurant?
I had some waffle fries.
And do you remember what Mr. Gray ate?
He had a hot dog.
And do you remember what Mr. Woods ate?
He also had a hot dog.
Good. So you came out of the restaurant. Do you remember who paid the bill?
I think we all paid separately.
Okay, so now you come out of the restaurant.
Yeah, we come out the restaurant, we had eaten already. And this when Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying a little bit, charged at me from across the street. You know, I tried to get him.
But just a second.
Okay.
How did he get across the street?
Well, the restaurant was across the street. We parked across the street from the restaurant.
Okay, I got it.
So I had already got back to the car.
Okay.
And Mr. Woods over here started horseplaying, and he ran across the street and tried tackling me, and he got me around my waist. I tried to put him in a headlock, but you see the size of his head. And that just continued throughout the night, this horseplaying.
No. So he's horseplaying with you.
Right.
But you get into the car. You said if you continued all during the night. What I want to know is, from the place where they got hot dogs and you got waffle fries, did you get back into the car?
We did get back into the car. We went one more place.
Okay. Now, when you got back into the car, after the 2 dogs and the fries, who was driving?
At that point, I think I was still driving.
Not think. I don't want to think.
I believe I was driving. I dropped myself off to my next destination because I separated from them too.
You went to one other place?
Yeah.
With them?
With the 3 of them, yes.
And when you got to the other place, you went in or you did not go in?
I went inside, yeah.
Okay. Did you stay there?
I did stay there.
And what about the 2 of them?
They went wherever they went. Back to the barbershop, I believe.
And you were the designated driver.
Up into the
So you were drinking the water.
Yes.
And they were both drinking alcohol. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. What do you mean, yeah? You go to at least 2 bars, maybe 3. You have a whole afternoon of drinking at a barbershop. Not you, you were drinking water.
Water, yeah. I don't know what.
Then you get dropped off. You was the designated driver. Now they're nowhere near home. So you knew one of them was going to be driving.
Right.
And as far as your testimony is concerned, you were left in the last place that you visited. They went out to go someplace else or go back to the barbershop.
Right.
Did you see them again that evening? Is not an answer. I mean, we're coming to court today. You know, it's not a photo shoot. You came here for testimony.
I don't believe I seen them that night again.
No, I'm just talking about that night. That's what we're talking about, that night. This is the night of the accident, the 27th of November, 2021.
I didn't see them again.
You're in a club. You don't know what happened. Now, when they dropped you off, did you go outside with them or did you just stay in the club?
I stayed inside.
So you don't know anything else?
What happened after that?
Now you can sit.
Thank you.
Okay, now your witness, the designated water drinking driver, has dropped himself off and the 2 of you go outside. What happened?
After he get dropped off, we are parked at a bar and...
Just a second. He stays there. You get into the car because you're going to another bar.
No, not at this point.
Where were you going?
I was getting ready to go to my barbershop.
He's not with you. Who was driving?
I was driving at that.
Okay. And you were driving to take yourself back, according to you, to the barbershop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so we get to the barbershop and I leave the car running. He's in the car with me.
Just a sec. Got to the barbershop and you left the car running for what reason?
Because it was cold outside. It was snow. It was, it's November.
Well, what were you going to the barbershop for?
I went to the barbershop because I needed to use the restroom.
And the barbershop is close by to this last bar you were at?
Yes.
How close?
Maybe like 2 miles.
Okay, so you went to the barbershop. You left the car running and?
So I go in to use the restroom and I leave the car running and Mr. Woods was sitting in the car still. So as I'm in the restroom, he comes in and started knocking on the door and says that he had lost his phone when he had got out the car where we were parked at.
Where?
The last bar that we were at. I didn't actually go into the last bar. We was parked there. We were about to go in to meet up with him.
What do you mean to meet up with him? He was with you.
As he said, he met up with another friend.
He didn't tell me that. He said you just dropped him off at the other bar and you weren't going in, just he was going in, you dropped him off. That's what he said.
No, he went in.
I understand he went in.
All right, I never went in the last bar.
Okay, you didn't go and neither did he.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking you, he said I lost my phone someplace.
No, where we were parked at, he got out the car for a second. I never got out the car. He got out the car for a second. And
what was he doing when he got out of the car for a second?
He thought we were about to go in, but I told him that I needed to use the restroom. So he got back in the car. But at some point when he got out the car, he dropped his phone. So I told him I needed to use the restroom. So I go to my shop to use the restroom. I park the car.
Got it.
I get out. I leave the car running. I go in, use the restroom. He comes in, knocks on the door, telling me that, hey, yo, I lost my phone. Can I drive the car? Let me go pick it up real quick. And I tell him no. Like, just wait, I'll be out in a second. So he leaves. I hear the door open and close. I'm thinking that he's just going to sit back in the car. So when I come out of the restroom, my car is gone. I call him, and he's not answering the phone. So I keep calling. And then the next, 10 minutes later, he answers the phone. So I knew he went to go get his phone.
He found his phone.
Yes, and I'm furious at this point because he just left me in my
At the barber shop.
Yeah, in my car. So I tell him, bring my car back right now. He said, I'm on my way. I'll be there in a minute. About 15 minutes later, he called me and say, yo, man, you gonna kill me, man. I just crashed your car. I'm sorry, bro. And I had to walk all the way to the accident scene to the car where he crashed my car at.
Now, you have an accident report?
No, I don't have an accident report.
Why?
Because we never called the police.
That's
because
probably a good idea.
He wasn't involved with another car. He just hit a pole.
I understand that. That's still an accident report. The only reason you don't call the police is because both of you were drinking.
Well, I wasn't driving the car at that time.
Well, you were driving the car to the barber shop, right?
Yes.
From the last bar where you dropped Mohammed off, you were driving.
Yes, I was not drunk though, Yana.
If you're not drinking, it's sort of an interesting thing. Everybody's definition of drunk is different. Your friend Mohammed said that he was the designated driver, so he was just drinking water. That's what he said.
That's what Mohammed.
Which suggests to me that we had a full day of drinking, starting at the barbershop, watching the game, from the game to 2 or 3 bars, then for a bite to eat.
No, I wasn't drinking at the barbershop. I didn't start drinking until we got to the first bar.
Okay, so now you started to drink at 6 o'clock. Now it's 10 o'clock, and you've been drinking from one place to another. I'm just saying you got behind the wheel of a car and you had been drinking. Now, did you hit a pole?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Gray has accused his former friend, Tony Woods, of driving drunk and wrecking his car.
Okay, now you tell me your version of the events.
Okay, first off, I ain't eat no hot dog. So I never.
You didn't what?
I never had a hot dog. Never ate a
Okay,
hot dog.
strike the hot dog.
No hot dog.
Whitney, he denies the hot
I
dog.
didn't eat a hot dog either.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Denies the hot dog.
Okay, so for what happened after they got in the car, first, they were very drunk.
Just a second. You don't have to tell me. All 3 of you were drunk.
I wasn't drunk yet.
Okay. By the time the car got trashed, you were drunk. Let me tell you what I believe.
Okay.
So that you can pick it up from there.
Okay.
I believe that Mohammed was dropped off at the last bar. So there came a time at the end of the evening when it was just the 2 of you. I don't know who's driving. I don't know who was the passenger. But I believe that they dropped him off because otherwise Mohammed, who appears here as a witness today, would have had a better story. Because he says, I don't know what happened afterwards, because I wasn't there. So there was a time at the end of the evening that just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
Okay, can I tell you before that part, though? Because he was driving down the wrong way of the street.
Well, there's no question in my mind he shouldn't have been behind the wheel of a car.
And that's when I lost my phone and my wallet, and we were wrestling in the street. He actually attacked me.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
There came a time when just the 2 of you were in the car.
Okay.
When was that?
Well, we were sitting in front of a bar that we were about to go to. I got out the car, and I dropped my phone. At that time, I asked him to take me back to get
No. You dropped your phone. And you didn't know you dropped your phone because if you knew you dropped your phone, you would have picked it up.
Right, correct.
Right. So then you got back into the car. Driver's seat or passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
And Mr. Gray was driving?
Yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was at the bar?
Yes, he was with a friend.
He had gone to the bar, so it was the 2 of you. You're in the passenger seat, he's driving, and he's drunk.
Yes.
And you went back to the barber shop for him to use the restroom. Just follow, because there was a time when you wanted to go back to look for your dropped phone. Do you understand?
Correct.
Now, he goes back to the barbershop. How long was he in the restroom before you realized that you had dropped your phone?
About 5 minutes.
And you realized that you had dropped your phone because you tried to make a call while you were waiting for him.
Correct. And it was snow on the ground, correct.
It was snowing and he didn't have a Frankfurter.
Yes.
So now he's gone in to use the restroom. You go and look for your phone. You see how easy this is, like, it's like fishing in a fish tank. You went inside. And what did you do when you went inside when you realized that you had lost your phone?
I told him, let's go get my phone, and he drove us and went and got the phone.
Okay, so he came out of the restroom, you got back into the passenger seat of the car.
Correct.
And he got into the driver's seat of the car.
Correct.
And what happened?
Then we called Mohammed to try to meet back up with him after we got my phone. And then...
No. Step, slowly he turned. Step by step. inch by inch. Now you're in the car, on your way back to the bar where Mohammed is to look for your phone.
I got drunk. I think I blacked out after that point.
Not according to your answer. According to your answer, you knew exactly what happened, sir. What do you mean you blacked out? You signed a sworn statement.
I know we got the phone. I got the phone back.
Well, I know you got the phone, so you had to have driven back there successfully to get the phone.
Yes.
And is it at that point that you get back into the car and you blacked out?
No, it was just I got really drunk after getting my phone. Like after that,
You don't remember what happened?
I remember getting my phone and being drunk. Like, I got my phone.
Okie dokie, there we go. Okay, you were all drunk. As a matter of fact, I have zero sympathy for any of you getting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, the car was damaged.
Yes, I have.
And so what you want me to believe that you blame him, and I could understand that because I don't know how drunk you actually were, whether or not you blame him for your wrecked car because you were driving the car back to find his phone and it wouldn't have been in that problem had he not dropped his phone out of the car, or whether he was actually driving the car drunk. It's actually irrelevant to me. You were both driving drunk. You have a bill to fix the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
And I have pictures of the accident.
Okay, so the bill was $5,500, and you had insurance?
Yes.
And the insurance paid for how much?
I had no fault insurance.
So you didn't have...
I didn't have collision.
Okay. You didn't have collision, so you had to pay $5,500, which you paid.
Yes.
Divide that by 2.
$2,750.
That's what I thought. So, Mr. Gray, there are some lessons that you learn, and I don't know whether other courts would agree. I have to make a determination as to credibility, and quite frankly, I can't determine between two drunks who's telling me the truth. Because on the 27th of November, both of you were in no condition to drive a car. And I can't tell who actually drove the car at the time that it was wrecked. But I do know that you drove the car from a club to your barbershop, and that neither one of you stayed at the scene, called the police, because both of you were inebriated and knew that either one or both of you were going to get busted for a DUI because you both drove the car that evening. What?
Ma'am, I was not drunk at the time that this happened. I did go to the bars, but I wasn't in the bars drinking. That I had one beer.
$2,750, we're done.
This court is adjourned.
I feel like he kind of got the story wrong because I wasn't drunk, but...
I think that was very fair. I feel like, the judge was very reasonable.
I had one beer that day, but, there's a limit to, being drunk in the state of Michigan.
It was just one of those drunk things, but we got it taken care of.
I wanted to make him look like my vehicle.
It was very snowy outside, and, something happened, and I don't remember.
I didn't do anything. I just called a tow truck and tried to get the situation solved.
And I'm very happy to get this case behind me.
Satisfied I got something out of the deal.
I don't know. Hopefully we could get back to being friends. He's a good guy.
I'm surprised you gave them anything. Unclean hands don't deserve money from this court, as we've seen time and again. So I'm surprised, really, that you gave him even half of what he was asking, because you couldn't tell which one of them was credible, if either of them were credible. And so what are you supposed to do? I guess splitting it down the middle was, I understand why you made your judgment, but I would have taught him a lesson, given him nothing.
Interesting.
Drunk driving is nothing to play around with.
Yeah.
Very serious.
Yes. Okay. I'm glad in the DNA it's getting tougher rather than softer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. You may be right. You may be right. I just felt that they were both at fault. Mm-hmm. And either you leave the parties where they are, or you say both of you have to hurt a little.
Yep. I understand.
But I actually understand.
Friend and handyman Brandon Hall for check fraud and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge.
Hi.
Case number 2046, Rapp versus Hall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Rapp, not a very difficult case. The defendant was a friend of yours / did some work for you. It's not really relevant how you met him. It was sort of through a social situation. And it is your claim that over a period of time, Mr. Rapp forged your signature to several checks,
Correct.
And then when confronted by the fact that you've discovered these forgeries and asked him for money, he filed a restraining order against you to keep you away from him, and you say that the restraining order was a false one, and you want to be compensated for having to deal with that.
I do. I missed work.
Just a second. So I'm going to deal with the restraining order first. When did you file a restraining order, Mr. Hall?
I believe it was the 17th of July.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
So not so long ago. I'd like to see the paperwork that you filed in support, just the paperwork that you gave to the court in support of your restraining order, why you were asking for a restraining order.
Okay.
Don't tell me. Is that what you filed with the court?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. So let's just be clear. You filed all these documents with the court when you asked for a restraining order?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've read some of the text messages, and you're aware of what the text messages say.
Yes.
I assume you're aware of what they say. Uncross your hands.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And that part of your application for damages as a result of filing a false restraining order is denied. You can't even suggest in a text message that you're going to do something violent in order to get him to pay money that you owe. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, so as
Although
frustrated,
the restraining order was dismissed.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, I've read it, and some of your text messages sound threatening.
I was angry.
I understand you were angry. The question is not whether he should be granted a restraining order. I don't have to deal with that. I have to deal with the fact that in the text messages, you make certain threats. What if I could? And all that transpired at a time when the defendant reconciled with his wife and family. So, as I said, as a result of reading your text messages, I believe that Mr. Hall had the right to feel threatened and to file for a restraining order. Whether the court that heard the application for a restraining order felt that your behavior warranted a restraining order is another thing. But I can understand why he would file a restraining order to try to keep you away from him and his family.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Great! Now I want you to tell me why you forged her name to checks.
Because she...
$8,800 worth of checks. Now you have the right to file a restraining order.
Because she asked me to do this.
Because she asked you to forge her name to the checks.
Yes.
Okay, I want you to tell me when the first time she asked you to forge her name to a check. And I assume, just like you've kept all these documents.
Yes, ma'am.
You have a document to show me, just one. Because if you show me one, I would tend to think that there are more. So just show me one where she said to you, forge my name to a check.
Okay.
Take the money out and forge my name to a check. Don't say anything. Just show me. Don't shake your head. It's annoying.
I believe this is the first one.
Okay. So in that one, she asks you to sign. Well, maybe. What are you showing me?
The check.
I don't want to see the check. You know how you kept these text messages that you texted back and forth and back and forth? I want you to show me, because you're methodical, one time out of the 6, 7 times that you forged her name to checks, show me one time where she said to you in a text message, in an Instagram, in a pigeon note, where she said to you, take out a check from my checkbook and forge my name to it because I want you to have money. Just show me.
I don't have
Of
something
course
like
not.
that. No.
Of course
No,
not.
I don't.
Now, the first time you forged her name to a check was what month and year?
I believe that it was December 9th.
Of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you and Miss Rapp engaged in at that time that she told you to forge her name to a check?
Okay, so I'm an electrician, and I've been an electrician for 13 years. I've been doing side work all around my county, and there's a handful of liquor stores that trust me that I can go and cash personal checks that I get paid for doing my side work. Miss Rapp knew that, and...
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay, all right. So she would be locked out of her account for one reason or the other. And she would ask me, like on a Friday, she wouldn't be able to get access to her money. And I knew she had money.
Well, she couldn't get access to her money, so these weren't your checks you wrote out. You wrote out her checks. It'd
Right.
be frozen out whether you went to take out money or she went to take out money.
Right. Also, on a Friday, the liquor store would not deposit these checks until Monday. So I cashed these checks for her to give her cash.
Did you ever have sex with the plaintiff?
No.
Do you think she wanted to have a relationship with you?
I think so. Okay. I don't know.
What makes you think so?
Well, the
text message.
The text message.
The text message that she
Yeah.
said to you. And who is Robert?
Is her ex-boyfriend.
And do you know Robert?
I do.
How do you know Robert?
I'd known Robert for 20 years, been friends.
And when did you start doing work for the plaintiff, before or after Robert? Is not an answer.
It was after.
It was after.
Yes.
Okay. Give me an idea of when. You've cashed the first check in December of 2021. Give me some idea of when you were aware of the fact that the plaintiff and your dear friend of 20 years were no longer an item. Is not an
I
answer.
don't know what month he was arrested. So
Arrested for?
June, maybe.
Arrested for?
I don't know his charges.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
Leslie Rapp claims her former friend and handyman, Brandon Hall, forged her checks and filed a false restraining order against her. Brandon says he had Leslie's permission to write the checks.
I'm just telling you, I don't believe that you don't know the charges of somebody who you were friendly with for 20 years and who was arrested. I don't believe that you don't know, because it belies credulity. Okay?
That's fine.
So before your dear friend of 20 years was arrested, did you ever cash any checks for her?
No.
After Robert was arrested? Yes. Did you ever do any work for her before Robert was arrested?
No.
When did you and your wife separate? Month and year.
Maybe February of 21.
And were you still together with Robert in February of 2021?
Yes.
And when did you and the lovely Robert separate?
Robert was removed from my life August 11th of 21.
The defendant acknowledges in his answer that he forged your name, not only your name, your signature, but wrote out checks, actually wrote out in his own handwriting, checks in the amount of $8,800.
Yes.
And he acknowledges that, but he says they were because you asked him to, or it was for work he did for you. Those were your answers, right?
No, these checks were not for any jobs that I did for her. They were strictly to get access to some of her money during the weekends and stuff. And then when she was out of town as well.
Get her access to her money and when she was out of town.
When she was out of town,
if you cashed her checks when she was out of town, how did she get money?
I Venmo'd the money to her.
Okay, so that you have a record of, that you Venmo'd the money to her.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
Here you go. Here's all the Venmo deposits. Her sending me money.
To her. No, not. Just a second. Try not to confuse me. I'm an old person. I want to see only the monies, because she's going to show me the checks that you forged. And contemporaneously, which is a close period of time, with those forged checks, you would have put the money in her Venmo account.
On a couple of different occasions, yes.
Just a second. Just show me those cases. She's going to take out the checks that you forged. And those checks should coincide date-wise with the Venmo transactions. Am I doing that right?
Venmo. Yeah.
Venmo.
Yes.
Your Honor, I don't see where I have the ones that I deposited in her account. These seem to all be her depositing into my account.
Duh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I do have.
So let us understand this, Ms. Rapp. Did you ever give him permission? The answer is yes or no.
No.
Did you file a police report?
Yes, I did.
You did. I'd like to see a copy of the police report.
I have.
Then we're in good shape. Mr. Hall, how many weekly payments did you make to her on Friday?
I have a list of that from.
From February.
This is from Mrs. Rapp in.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you, how many payments did you make for writing these unauthorized checks to her?
Seven.
And what was the total amount of those checks?
$3,700.
Why in the world would you pay her $3,700?
If you could look in those messages, I was being. She was saying she was going to put me in jail for doing things.
For forgery.
Okay.
For forgery.
Right.
And you asked her not to.
Right.
And you said, I'll pay you back.
Right.
Right. I'll pay you back. Just give me some time. I have 2 kids to support.
Right.
Is that what you said to her?
Yes.
$8,800 judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here.
Is adjourned.
Well, I'm happy about the outcome because
I think it's bogus, man.
I really need the money.
Because she started all this craziness as soon as I went back to my wife.
There was never a relationship between the two of us.
After that, when she started doing all this, is when I went and filed for a restraining order.
He did that as a direct retaliation for the police report I filed.
She's gonna have to call somebody else for sure.
It's definitely time for a new handyman.
Just a casual note.
Yeah.
I have been with my husband, your grandfather, for almost 50 years. And we each have our bank account, and then we have a joint bank account. I have never either asked him or given him permission to sign my signature to a check.
Yep.
He hasn't never asked or given me permission to sign his signature on one of his checks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we may ask each other, listen, it's busy. I'm going to go through these checks. We're making all these checks out to the doorman and to Christmas time and whatever, and then I'll sign them. Just doesn't happen. So
Doesn't make sense.
Right. And so what it is to any job that you do, whether it's a lawyer or a judge, you bring with you your own common sense and your own life's history. I hope that works, because I cannot imagine somebody saying, write out a check for yourself. I don't know you, we're not involved, we're not married, go help yourself.
Levi Shaw is suing his parents, Davery and Nathan Celestine, for the repair costs of an 18-wheeler truck.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Case number 2032, Shaw versus Celestine.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Shaw, these are your parents, is that right?
Yes, they are.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Just the very broad framework of this case. You're suing your parents for money that you put into a truck that belongs to them.
Correct.
And they are counterclaiming for money that they say you owe them for a balance of a dog they purchased for you. The truck that you fixed belonged to your parents.
Yes, the agreement was...
The truck that you fixed belonged to your parents. And what I gather is that you would come into some money. Is not an answer.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And when did you come into that money?
I never came into any money from them after I fixed
Not from them. I didn't say from them, that you came into some money. Is not an answer.
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. I came into some
So I
in
want
October.
you to... In October, you were not employed.
I was employed.
By whom?
Construction.
Is that their company?
No, I was working with them and their brother.
So you were working with the family?
Yes.
Okay. That was in October.
Yes,
October
ma'am.
of 2021. It's not an answer.
I mean, yes,
is
ma'am.
an
I'm
answer.
sorry.
And how much did you come into?
About $10,000 for the month of September and October.
And then your father said to you, I assume, you should take some of that money and buy a 16-wheeler truck so that you...
No, ma'am.
Well, how did that happen, sir, that you got possession of your parents' truck?
So
Did you try to buy a truck on your own?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay,
And
in
that
what
deal
month?
failed.
Just a second. In what month did you try to buy a truck for yourself?
January.
January of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And tried to buy a truck so that you could have your own truck for long hauling and business.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to a dealer and you found the truck that you liked, but you didn't qualify for financing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how much is a new truck?
That truck, it was a 2015, and they priced it at $60,000.
60.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told your parents about that?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
there was a discussion that they had an older truck that wasn't running.
It needed minor work.
It needed...
was told to me.
Okay, so they said to you it needs minor work. Was it running?
It was running, but the diamond seal was cracked, so eventually the truck was just going to break down completely.
Okay, so you took that truck with the understanding that you were going to repair the truck And then what?
To make money. But once,
So you would repair the truck and then use it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would keep most of the profits from using that truck? I mean, I'm trying to understand what the agreement was.
My dad, Nathan, told me that the truck was only going to be worth $4,000 to fix, which was a diamond seal. It needs some bushings. It needs something for the exhaust pipe. And I was like, okay. But when the dude kept calling me for the truck and he was like, okay, this needs to be done.
But you took the truck into a mechanic?
Yes, ma'am.
And did they give you an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before or after they did the work?
They gave me one before, but I don't have that estimate, but I have the one for after.
You mean after they completed the work, they sent you a bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's not an estimate. An estimate, sir, is when you go in and say, here is a truck. I want you to give me an estimate of what it is to have it fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you an estimate, and then you determine whether or not you want them to do any or all of that work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would never bring a truck into any mechanic or to any dealership mechanic and say, fix it.
When they was calling me, telling me additional problems that was wrong, I would call them, which I have my phone records that show that I was also calling them once the dealership called me to fix the truck.
Well,
because some
just a
stuff
second.
on the truck wasn't able, like it needed a new gear, it needed new transmission was messed up on the truck.
Just a second. All I want is what you're telling me, that your father told you to go ahead and fix those things each time you got a call?
Yes.
Okay, so you would call him and your father would not say to you, well, how much is that to fix?
Well, yeah, he was, but I had already had a settled amount that I told him that I was willing to spend, which was $10,000.
Well, did you spend $10,000?
The truck was actually over $10,000.
I understand to fix it, but you actually spent
$10,000.
You actually spent the $10,000.
$10,900 to be exact.
To fix the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think the truck was $13,000 to fix.
Yes, ma'am.
So you paid the additional $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now the truck is running.
Yes, ma'am, it's running. It was running before, Your Honor.
But it's running now better because
ma'am.
there are.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
using it.
Just a second. I can only hear from one of you. He said the truck is in use. You said no.
It's not used, or is the truck?
No, Your Honor, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you was talking about the repair. You saying is the truck operable now? Yes, it's operable, but it's not on the road.
It's not on the road? Who
Yes,
cares
ma'am.
if it's not on the road?
Oh, yes.
The idea was he was supposed to fix the truck and supposed to be able to use the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he able to use the truck?
Yes, he's able to use the truck.
Okay, great. When was the last time he tried to use the truck?
He never tried to use the truck after it was fixed. He said that he no longer wanted to be a part of the deal, to give him his money back.
Okay.
I have something. Now, when the truck originally got fixed in February, my dad came into town multiple times. It was one more piece that needed to be fixed, which was the ABS module, which if you get pulled over, they're going to stop you and shut you down completely.
I don't know.
And I told him, hey, we need to get that fixed. He came into town 3 times, and I asked him, hey, is you going to take the truck to the shop? Hey, is you going to take the truck to the shop? He said no. And he's like, well, it don't have any insurance. And it was just a whole bunch of excuses why he couldn't take the truck to the shop.
Whether he can or he can't, he says, and your mother says you're able to use the truck.
But I don't have a CDL, so I'm not able to drive it.
Well, you didn't have that when you took it in anyway, to be fixed.
But I didn't take the truck over there. He drove the truck to the mechanic shop.
Whatever. I don't care who drove it there, but your agreement with him was you tried to buy a new truck. It was much too expensive. Your agreement with your parents was that you would take an older truck of theirs that needed a lot of work, and you took it into a mechanic, and the mechanic was going to fix the truck, make it operable, so that you would have an opportunity to use it and make money.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm asking you, now the truck is fixed to the tune of $13,000. When was the last time that you asked to use the truck that your parents said you can't?
Well, I asked him, can I have his dad take the truck to get the additional piece put on, and he told me no, just to wait till he come into town.
Okay.
Shaw claims his parents, Davary and Nathan Celesti, owe for the repairs of an 18-wheeler truck. Levi's parents are countersuing for the balance of an English bulldog.
Was the additional piece put on the truck that he's talking about?
No, ma'am, it didn't actually need that addition. It was an ABS modulator, which on that particular model was a 1995 FLD Classic. On that particular model, you don't need that to reset the ABS light. All you need is a sensor that goes in the hub of the wheel.
What I'm asking you is, your son said that you needed this one part. This is your business.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is that one part?
This is a part that I never researched, so I can't tell you that. But according to him...
Perhaps I didn't ask you anything. Perhaps you can tell me.
The part was $900.
That was returned back.
It was never returned because they wouldn't let me return it because it's dealing with wires. So when I asked them, can I return it, they said no. And I had a text where I text her and I said, hey, they will not let me return this piece.
Return what piece?
The ABS module. They will not let me return it because it's electrical and they do not accept returns on electric pieces.
So is what you're telling me that you bought this piece for $900?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that it wasn't necessary. You didn't buy it from him.
No, but I don't know if it was necessary, but what the mechanic told me and what
You can't tell me what the mechanic told you.
Well, I'm just saying the mechanic told
No,
me
you
that it
can't
needed.
tell me what the mechanic told you. Well, all I'm telling you, Mr. Shaw, is you had an agreement with your parents to fix a truck and then to be able to use it. And I want to know whether they have ever denied you the right, because that was the contract that you made. You never made a contract with them that you would take a truck to the mechanic and they would pay for the repairs. You never made that contract with them. You want me to say that that was your contract with them. They say the truck is operable now and that you can use it. When do you want to use it?
Well, if they willing to let me use it, then I want to use it as soon as possible.
Okay, and you can drive the truck.
No, I was going to hire a driver.
Okay, and the truck now is not on the road, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
Now,
That's right. That's right.
the truck is not on the road.
No, ma'am. It's
is
not.
what you said, but operable.
Yes, it's not operable.
Okay, and after the agreement that your son was going to pay the money, fix the truck, and then be able to work at it so that he's getting some benefit from what he put into the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have an agreement?
I wanted to ask.
I'm not looking at you.
Okay.
Did you have a discussion with him about how much of the time he would be able to utilize the truck, or was your agreement with him that he could use it at will?
I gave him a specific time. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear what the specific times
The specific time was.
let's make it up as we go.
No, ma'am. I'm thinking straight to you. I'm gonna tell you just like it actually is. I gave him specifically, according to him, about 3 months of when he probably needed it, to get himself together.
No, just a second. You mean he was going to spend $10,000 on fixing the truck and you were going to let him use it for 3 months?
Well,
put your hand down. I'm not talking to you.
Well, as long as he needed it, I'm gonna put it that way. As long as he needed the truck.
Okay. So now that's better.
Yes, ma'am.
So that he can use the truck whenever he needs it and he's going to get a driver. I just want to know because we're going to have to memorialize all this in an order. What do you want?
We had a driver. My brother was the driver.
I don't care whether your brother was the driver or not. That was not the agreement that your husband said he made with his son.
Yes, ma'am.
He says he made an agreement with him that if he paid to have it fixed, he could use the truck whenever he wanted to. That's what your father says.
No, that is not that
Okay,
is not
so
true.
when did you ask to use the truck?
So in January, when I was getting the truck fixed, they told me $4,000. But as the mechanic kept calling me, adding on stuff, I said, hey, I'm not about to pay all this money, and y'all telling me I can just use it. If I'm about to put all my money into it, I want the truck. And my mom was like, okay, you can do that, because in January, they didn't make any money.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is what you said to your mother, I'm not going to put in all this money unless the truck belongs to me.
Correct.
Well, that's not unreasonable, Mr. Shaw. I can actually see that. You're spending $10,000 of your money and you want to be able to use the truck. And you want it to be able to not have it on a whim of somebody else.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is this truck?
This truck is exactly 22 years old.
How long have you owned it?
I've owned it since I was 23 years old.
Okay, so you've owned it since it was new.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make a living from it?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Good. Do you have other trucks now?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How many others?
Just one other. I'm not no big scale company. I just got one other truck. Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the title to the truck, please?
To the truck we're talking about?
Yes.
I don't have that title with me.
Why not?
I was under the impression that I didn't need to bring it.
Okay. And according to you, the truck's not on the road now?
No, ma'am, it's not on the road.
Do you remember having a conversation with your son about, I'm not going to spend all this money unless the truck is mine?
Yes, ma'am, I do remember that conversation.
Do you remember where it took place?
He was driving and I was at home.
So it was over the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember what month that was?
January.
January of 2022.
Correct.
Tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
I told him, I totally understand what you're saying. I said, let me talk to your daddy and we'll see what we could do. But
great. As a parent, that sounds perfectly reasonable. And did you speak to your husband?
Yes, I did.
Did the two of you own the truck?
He owns the truck. It's in his name and Nathan's name.
So you said, okay, that sounds okay. Let me talk to your daddy. You have to talk to the owner of the truck because
Correct.
now you're seeking to change the agreement. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And after you spoke to your mother, did you have a conversation with your father about the ownership of the truck?
Yes, we did.
And tell me when that was and what was discussed.
It was in January as well, and when I told him that, he said he totally agreed with me that if I put in majority of the money, that I can have the truck.
Okay. I want to tell you certain things sort of ring true to me. If I were a young person and spending all my money for a business, because this is the business that he was going to be in, he was going to hire a driver and he was going to take a certain amount of the profits. I could understand him saying to his parents, who now have a truck that they're not using because it's not on the road, I'm going to spend all my savings, it looks like, because the initial estimate was $4,000, but it kept going up and up and up and up and up. So if I'm going to spend all this, put your hand down, if I'm going to spend all this money, I'd like to own the truck. And in response to that, his mother said, and acknowledges that she said, it sounds right to me, I'm going to speak to your father. And according to you, you spoke to your father, and your father said, sounds okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went ahead and spent the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Levi Shaw says his parents, Davery and Nathan Celestine, owe for the costs of repairs to an 18-wheeler truck. Levi's parents say he never used the truck, and it is still not fixed.
I'd like to see the bills for the truck.
Oh, I have it on my phone.
Well, what is that?
These was the bank statements because at first they was countersuing for insurance as well. So I was showing bank statements where I had sent them money. So that's what these was for. But I have it on my phone, but I don't have it in the statements.
Well, I need it.
Here you go.
Is that the one final invoice?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
And it also I have at the bottom where it says it needs the ABS module.
Your Honor, can I see that as well?
Yes. Well, so the entire amount is $13,000.
$13,000 and some change.
And your father paid $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not the correct invoice.
What?
I have the original invoice.
Oh, fine, I'll take a look at yours.
The invoice that was sent to me via, so by their email, which I could pull up their email as well.
And it shows that it's paid on the back.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the same thing as he showed me.
But it has our name on it.
Who cares?
The ones that he showed you, it changed since then.
Well, but let me ask you a question.
No.
Unless I'm missing something.
No.
You're not questioning the fact that he paid $10,000 to fix the truck out of the $13,000 that the truck was. Are you questioning that?
No, I'm not
Okay,
questioning that.
then I don't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Let's go over this one more time. When your son said to you, if I'm going to spend all this money, I want to own the truck, and your wife had the same conversation with you, right? She said, I got a call from Levi. Levi said if he's going to spend all this money, he really wants the truck, and she actually thought it was okay. And what did you say, sir?
I said that I'm not going to sell you the truck.
Why?
I will let you use the truck.
No, when did you say that?
Because I have other children.
Oh, no, but your other children didn't put any money into the truck.
No, I know.
No, just a second. Your other children didn't put any money into the truck.
But that's like
hand down.
He didn't ask me to buy the truck.
Okay.
Donna. He asked could he use it.
Just a second.
He was going to sell it to my uncle because when the repairs got done, they actually didn't have enough money because I had $8,000 saved up. They took $4,000 of my $8,000.
But you got paid back.
Yes, but they didn't have the money, so when you just
Mr. Shaw, I don't expect you to talk to each other. I don't expect you to talk to him.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
It's very easy. I believe that you changed the contract with your son from a contract where he would pay for the repairs, which was supposed to be $4,000, and then you have the use of the truck, to the fact that he was going to spend $10,000, which was all of his money. Put your hand down. I'm not. This 22-year-old truck that you've had since it was new was going to be his. And I am going to craft an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to reissue a title in the truck to him. Do you understand? He's going to take that order. He's going to get a new registration for the car and a new ownership. Unless you want, put your hand down. This is not a. This is not. It's not.
I don't understand that.
Well,
I got other children. I got 5 other kids.
Do you want me to say it's slower?
Your Honor.
And I say, what about the $3,500 that we put into it?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
But it wasn't $4,500. It was $3,500.
35. I'm sorry if you didn't hear me well.
Man.
You are absolutely entitled to that.
Dude.
I believe you are entitled to that. He put in 10, that's his truck.
I made, Yana, I worked all my life with that truck.
I don't care.
I worked all my.
I don't care. He's not going to spend his $10,000
I done made over $1 million
your
with the
truck.
truck.
That's ridiculous.
I want you to stop it.
Say, man. Hey, man.
Okay.
How can you tell me
Now,
to stop
are
on
we
something
going-
I worked blood, sweat, and tears on? He finna take.
I need a break.
That's the judgment. I'm not entertaining your counterclaim. That's the judgment of the court. You get title to the truck. You can retrieve it as soon as you change the registration of the truck. However, in order to do that, you have to give your parents the $3,500 that they put into the truck. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Good.
what about
We're
this
done.
dog?
We're
that
done.
we
This
paying
court is
for?
adjourned.
We're done.
We
I have
paying
a
for this
question,
dog.
We're done.
It's over. Okay.
We paying for this dog, and we didn't, and he's
It's
not
over,
giving
man.
us nothing.
Let me explain something to you. The reason, let me explain something to you. The reason that I'm not hearing your counterclaim is because the two of you were disrespectful and didn't listen to me. Oh, yes, you did. That's it. We're done.
All right. My actions of my response to what she was saying is what nothing been disrespectful towards her.
I'm very glad she ruled in my favor.
It was the initial, the thought of giving up my hard-earned possessions.
It was because I did try to work it out before we came to court, and they was like, no, we're not going to pay you nothing.
I never would have thought in a million years sue my parents, even though they, my parents whooped my butt. But that was just something you had to go through back then.
It saddens me. I'm in disbelief that my parents did that to me. I didn't think that they would do that.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know his plans. I can't talk that.
If you do business with family, make sure you get contracts.
I sympathize with the plaintiff's position on this because modifications of contracts are supposed to be allowed when there's a change in circumstance. So it's not like he was attempting to change the contract every Friday or for no reason. He thought that it was going to be $4,000. It turned out to be $10,000 to fix the truck. And as such, he wanted a bargain for exchange. That's a lot more money than he initially intended. So that conversation makes sense to me, that conversation between his parents, that I know we had agreed to this, but now with this new information, this is what I'm comfortable with. Is that okay?
I think so. I think that is a common sense interpretation of what happened.
For a truck that cost $60,000 20 years ago, to put in $10,000 to it is not nothing. That's a big investment.
Well, it probably isn't worth more than that. And the condition that it was in before he had it repaired, their position was unreasonable because now they have a fixed truck
that their child paid for. And with the animus between them, it doesn't seem to me as if he's going to get any benefit from the bargain. So the modification of their original oral contract, which I think happens occasionally when circumstances change, as long as both parties agree. And I actually think that both the mother and the father said okay, and then something happened that I don't know about. Don't want to know about.
And I don't want to know about it. But I think it's fair that he had possession of the truck since he paid to them.
And Robert Burrows are suing their former friends, Marina and David Quadra, for illegal eviction and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everybody.
Hello, Judge. Case 2072, Burrows versus Quadra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Quadra, you were living in a home, in a house?
Correct, a townhome.
That you didn't own. And for how long had you been renting that home?
We did not rent out the home.
How long, if you didn't own it, then you were renting it?
We rented it for 2 years, Your Honor.
It gets scarier if you have a fixed position in your head so that you're not listening to my questions. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did your lease start?
July of 2020.
And when was it to terminate?
It was terminated August 1st, 2022.
And it was terminated by an eviction?
Correct.
And you were evicted because the landlord said that you sublet the apartment to these people and their family?
Correct.
And they were people who you knew, both in the military?
Just him.
What do you do?
I'm a federal employee.
And you?
I'm active duty, ma'am.
But you knew each other from work?
Correct.
Where did you move in August?
National City, Your Honor.
How far is that from your prior residence?
It's about 30 miles south, Your Honor.
Are you in a home that you own or that you rent?
We are still renting.
How much are you paying in rent?
$21.50 a month.
You have a signed lease?
We do.
When did that lease start?
August 1st, 2022.
And why did you choose to live in National City?
It is closer to where he is stationed.
It is also the...
Shh. Don't speak.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much closer?
To his job.
To his job?
It went from a 30-minute drive to a 15-minute drive.
Okay, so that's better.
Correct.
You were evicted. You were served a notice of eviction on what date?
They let us know a month before August. They gave us a 30-day notice.
Now, did the plaintiffs have any furniture in the home that you were evicted from?
Prior to us being evicted, yes.
Yes, prior to your being evicted. And what furniture did they have?
2 dressers and a bunk bed.
Anything else?
That's as far as furniture.
And what furniture did you have in there prior to being evicted?
A full living room.
And when did you move that out? On what date?
The 30th of July, 2 days before our moving date.
So you moved out all of your furniture?
Correct.
And how much were you paying in rent in the place from which you were evicted?
$25.95.
Oh, I didn't write that down. How much were you paying in the new place?
The place we are in now, $21.50.
So you're paying less rent?
Correct. It's substantially smaller.
And substantially closer to his place of employment?
Correct.
Good. Now, do you want to tell me your version of how they came to be living in your house?
We received a call one night. It was very late, 10 p.m. Robert was very upset, crying. He had nowhere to go.
He?
Correct. Robert had nowhere to go, and Kelly was asking for a divorce. He asked if he could crash on the couch. We have a toddler at home, so I asked him to sleep in our guest bedroom instead of the couch.
Okay.
He stayed that first original night, and the next day he needed to job hunt as he was jobless. We offered to watch his child. He looked for the job and he came home. He asked us if he could stay for a while in that guest bedroom until he got onto his feet with the job. He offered money to just help out with utilities and
how much?
$1,000.
$1,000 a month?
No, just $1,000. And our words, when he had asked, and we asked him, how long do you think it will take you to get on your feet? It was just a couple weeks.
Okay, so he was offering $1,000.
Correct.
Which was 40% of your rent to stay for 2 weeks, to stay in your guest bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty decent. Did he give you the $1,000?
He did.
And he gave you the $1,000 on what date?
He gave us the $1,000 on May 29th.
And when did he start staying there?
He started staying with us May 21st.
Then what happened?
He stayed with us for about a week. Everything was okay. He job hunted. I helped with the child. Within this week, he...
Look at me.
I'm sorry. He confided in us that he wanted to work on his marriage with Kelly. He did not want the divorce. It was something that she had asked for. They wanted to work on it together and had asked if Kelly could come around to stay with him and the children and work on their marriage.
When he moved into the guest room, did he take the children? Did he have the children with him?
He did, but it was just on certain nights. They were sharing.
And then he asked if Kelly could come as well.
Correct.
The wife. And what did you say? Well, why couldn't he go home?
He could not go home due to their relationship with her parents. Their parents.
Oh, she was living with her parents.
Correct.
And they were both living with her parents.
Correct.
So he said, I can't go home. We want to work on the marriage. Could we come and stay here with you?
Correct.
They have 2 kids?
They have 3.
They have 3 kids. And how many dogs?
4.
4 dogs. So far, you get 4 stars if you let her come.
I wish it would have worked that way.
No. You don't understand that that's where I'm at so far.
Yeah, of course.
So now, May 29th, he gives you the $1,000. She moves in when with the dogs?
So we had a long trip planned to Vegas. We let them know that after we had left, she could come stay while we were gone.
What month? June?
June, correct.
How long were you away?
We were away for 5 to 6 days.
Well, what was he going to do when she came there with the 4 dogs, 3 kids after 6 days? What was the plan?
This was never a plan of, here's a lease agreement you are going to rent from us. It was just that I need somewhere to stay. Can they please come for this short period of time until we figure this out?
Great. Okay, now let me hear your version of the events. When you went to stay there with your children, you were having trouble with your wife.
It's incorrect.
Incorrect.
Former friends, Marina and David Quadra, owe for an illegal eviction. Marina and David are countersuing, saying Kelly and Robert caused them to be evicted.
So when you went to their house and you wanted to work on your marriage, you could have gone back to your in-laws.
Yes, that's correct.
You could have. Why didn't you?
The reason why we decided to split up was because we're trying to keep our kids in the same school district. So with having 4 dogs, that's impossible to keep in an HOA. So she decided to go with her parents. I decided to stay back to finish the school year with the kids, still being in May, so they can finish in the same school district. That's why I decided I needed a mailing address so that they could stay in the same school district.
So you mean this discussion that she just said to me about you having problems, marital problems with your wife, that never happened?
Irrelevant. It's just...
No, that's not what I said. What I said was, because I believe her. I believe that that's what happened. I believe that you called her and said exactly what she said. She told me. I mean, I don't have to have Whitney read it back. I believe that that's what you said. So I don't want to hear baloney about school districts. You were having trouble with your wife.
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
And you didn't tell her that.
We had been moved out of our old place of 6 years in El Cajon, and we were trying for 6 months to find a new place. So yes, it does put a lot of stress on a relationship, but we did not have any marital.
Mr. Burrows, you know what my strong suit is, and there's no question that the cameras just caught your face. My strong suit is being able to spot a lie from a mile away. And I'm telling you that there's no question that you called her late at night and said, I'm having trouble with my wife. She asked me for a divorce. Can I come and stay with you? There's no question that whether it was true or not, I don't know, because clearly you're a liar. So maybe it wasn't true, but that's what you told her.
Your Honor, may I speak?
You want me to call your parents?
Please do.
Would you like me to call your parents? I'm just asking you, would you like me to call your parents?
No.
Of course not. That's an easy thing for me to do.
Part of what was going on was that we lived in our home for 6 years and the homeowners had moved back in, and so they asked us to leave, and we had been actively searching for a home. So yes, it did put a bit of a strain on our marriage, and I took my dogs with me so that I can keep my operating business at my parents' house because I am a dog boarder, dog sitter, and I did not want to shut my business down. And during this time, tensions, little things happening at my parents' house. So I said, you need to go see if you can rent a room or find somebody that can help you in the meantime till we can actively keep searching for a place for our family. We tried 5 different homes and we didn't.
I don't care. What I said to your husband was he lied to me. Because there's no question that he called, and whether it was true or not, that he said to your friends, I need a place to go. Do you have a place that I could stay on the couch? There's no question he said that to her.
That is true. Yes, that is true.
Okay. Well, then I want you to introduce your husband to the truth.
Is it true?
It's something that he hasn't met, because that's not what he told me what happened.
Correct.
So that was a mistake of his. That was a mistake. And you know what happens when you lied to me once? Your case is dismissed. Because what you're suing for is being evicted, and you go, blah, 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 emotional distress. You lie to me once, your case is dismissed. Now, we're going to come over here. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim is money owed for property damage.
Correct.
And for damages for eviction. Because what happened was your landlord evicted you because she comes with her 4 dogs, 3 gerbils, 2 parakeets to your house, and the owner of your condo doesn't want her any more than the owner of their last condo.
Of course.
Didn't want them. Got to save your money, buy your own house so you can have as many dogs and parakeets as you like. You moved into a place that's nicer?
Absolutely not.
Tell me what the papers said when your landlord notified you of the eviction. Do you have them?
We do.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Yes, no problem. There was also in that piece of paper a $250 fine through our HOA from the whole commotion that he caused the day of asking them to leave.
Just a second, you were a month-to-month tenant?
Correct.
You didn't have a lease for 2 years. You were a month-to-month tenant.
We had a year lease, and then when the year was up, we moved month to month.
They didn't evict you?
No, they just gave us, they asked us
Just a second.
to leave.
Your lawsuit is for damages, punitive damages for an eviction. You weren't evicted.
Well, we were asked to leave if we...
No, they just decided not to renew your month-to-month lease.
Due to the...
I don't care what it was due to. Listen, if I owned a property and you let 3 kids, 4 dogs, moved into my condo for 6 days, I wouldn't renew your lease on a month-to-month basis either. I don't care whether they were there for 2 days, 4 days, a week, or a month. You understand?
Understood.
Okay, so there was no eviction. So the punitive damages for that, forget it. Money owed for property damage. When they moved out, what did they damage? And how much did it cost you?
There was a hole in the molding from moving the dressers down our stairs. They bonked it, bringing it out angrily because they were mad that we asked them to leave. We have the letters from our landlord stating everything that they had to deduct from our deposit.
Just a second, a hole in the wall. And how much was the hole in the wall?
The molding was...
No, just look at the paper and tell me how much was the hole in the wall.
The painting was $180 and the molding repair was $200.
How? Did you damage the molding when you were moving a dresser out of the house?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, not that you're aware of. You want to try the truth now? Was there a hole that you created moving a dresser out of the house?
When David and I were moving our dresser over the stairs, down the stairs.
Who's David?
The defendant.
So you were moving out the dresser with him? Careful, introducing you to the truth. Did you move the dresser with him?
I did help move the furniture.
Your case is dismissed. The
I went with the
counterclaim likewise is dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I take it as a win. The initial suit was them against us. Their suit got dismissed.
We lost a lot of things and a lot of wages.
That was just us being good friends. We definitely learned our lesson. We will never help another crying husband on our doorstep claiming divorce again.
People that are offering to be nice to you in times of need don't charge you.
They kind of cried, oh, marriage and divorce the whole time, knowing that we're young and married. It's something we take seriously in our lives.
We're still trying to build our lives back.
I should actually make a party to introduce all those people to Mr. Truth.
I agree. There's a lot of mismatch. Doesn't make sense. If you're going to stay with a friend for a few days, you don't bring a bunk bed and 2 dressers.
No.
I've stayed with friends for a couple days, long weekend. You bring a bag with some clothes.
Even with your kids.
Yeah, you don't bring furniture. You don't bring any of that. So there's a lot of discrepancies.
Things that didn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense.
Giovanni Costello is suing his former friend, Jacob Knapp, for dental and medical bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2110, Costello versus Knapp.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Costello, you and Mr. Knapp were out drinking in the park.
Yes.
Date and time.
The date and time was around 3 a.m. and it was on 9/11 of 2021.
And you've known Mr. Knapp for how long?
Roughly 9 years. We started off playing high school baseball.
And when had you first met up on September 11th?
I can't remember the exact time. I would say around maybe 7 p.m.
Where?
At a bar over in Old Town Pasadena. We weren't meeting up.
Just a second.
Yeah.
So you were in a bar in Pasadena, 7 p.m. Just the two of you, or were there more people?
No.
How many were there in the whole group?
I had around 5 or 6 people in my group, and we went
All
to a
friends?
Bar. Yeah.
And you?
He wasn't a part of that group.
But you were at the bar?
No, ma'am. I was at work when he contacted me.
Okay, so so you were at the bar starting at 7 with your friends. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay, what time did he join you?
It wasn't, I couldn't tell you the exact time.
Approximately.
About an hour later.
At the bar?
Yeah, but it wasn't a text or anything like that. He just happened to go to the same bar.
No, ma'am. What ended up happening from the start, I was at work. He contacted me via text. I don't
Do you have that text?
No, ma'am. I tried to erase the whole memory from my mind, so I deleted all the pictures and all the text messages.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. I've never done that, by the way. You know, wanted to erase something from my mind, so I didn't just say I'm not going to think about it anymore. I've never done that. Did you ever do that, Sarah?
I have not.
You have not? And she's pretty efficient with text messages. Did you ever do that?
Never have I done that.
No. Well, you must be unusual, sir. Okay, so you met at the bar. What time did you get there?
Well, my shift ended at around 9 o'clock.
What time did you get to the bar?
10 o'clock.
And when you got to the bar, you met Mr. Costello.
Yes, ma'am.
He had a few friends with him. How long did you stay at the bar?
We were there till 12.
Okay, so Mr. Costello, you had been drinking from 7 until about 12.
Correct.
The answer is yes. Yes, of course. And what's your drink of choice, sir?
Beer.
What else?
The first bar that we were at doesn't serve hard alcohol, so it was just beer there.
Okay, so from 7 to when were you at the first bar?
Yeah.
From 7 to when?
7 to when? Till 12.
12.
Yeah.
So it's 7 to 12.
At the same time as well.
Okay, so from 7 to 12 you were drinking beer.
Yeah.
And then where did you go at 12 o'clock?
After 12 o'clock, we ended up going to another bar in Arcadia.
Okay, and you stayed there from when to when?
From 12 to closing, which is 2 a.m.
And you were part of that group?
Yes, that's when I initially met the group.
At the second bar or
At the
first?
second bar, yes.
Not at the first bar?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you got to the second bar, you were there you said you were there at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So they weren't there when you arrived?
They were there when I arrived, yes.
Well, he said that, I thought he said he got to the second bar at 12 o'clock.
I arrived at the bar around 10 o'clock, ma'am.
And you got there at 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time you all got together and left the bar, you had all been drinking, you for a very long time and you for a shorter time.
Yes, ma'am.
So from 10 to 2, so 4 hours. And what's your drink of choice?
10 to 12, Your Honor. I apologize. 10 to 12.
Where did you go at 12 o'clock?
12 o'clock is when we had all decided to go to a park, kind of a low-key area.
No, he said that he went to a bar between 7 and 12. Am I correct, Whitney? Did he say?
12.
He said you were at the bar, first bar, between 7 and 12 drinking beer. That's what you said.
Correct.
You said the first bar only served beer. Is not an answer. Yes is an answer. You say at 12 o'clock you went to a second bar where you had alcohol between 12 and 2.
Yes.
Yes?
Correct.
You got to a bar at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Which one? The beer bar or the alcohol bar?
I finished my shift, like I said, at 9, and I showed up at the bar at 10 to meet up with them, to try to rekindle an old friendship.
Okay. Yeah. I actually don't care about that. All right, so partially you got your story straight, partially not. Anyway, you were two drunks. Now it's after 2 o'clock, and you decide to go to a park. How many people went to a park, and what park?
It was the same amount of people that I was with from the start.
And you were along at the park?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it was.
Okay, did you take any beers to the park, or you went without them? You took beers to the park. The answer is yes.
Yeah, the main reasoning of going to the park was after the bar had closed. Jacob mentioned to the group that he had beers with him. So that incited us to go to the park and have some
To continue
beers with him.
drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, prior to me showing up, I did stop by 7-Eleven and pick
Okay, so you had beers with you, and you were at the bar.
Yes.
Nice, very good. Now you get to the park, you're drinking beers. Now you're going to describe what you say is the assault that you suffered at the hands of Mr. Knapp. Now, I want you to know my feeling before you tell me the story.
Okay.
I usually don't get myself overly exercised about what drunks do in a park. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. I know that you may be all exercised about it, although I'm not exactly sure you're all exercised about it. So if you really are, I'm going to listen to you. If you're not, we just eliminate this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Flo claims his former friend, Jacob Knapp, owes for dental bills after being hit in the mouth with a beer can.
Okay, go. You're in the park, drunk. He's in the park, drunk.
Yes.
And?
To state I was not drunk because I was driving my witness here.
I want to tell you something. If you were drinking from 7 to 2, you were drunk.
I hadn't been drinking the whole time that I was there.
Let's go.
Okay. So going into it, I was sitting at a park bench with Maureen here. And then I had another 2 friends that were on the other side. And we're hanging out. They had the 2 across from me got up. They went further into the park, and I was sitting with just her alone. And I was just about to show her a video off my phone. Next thing I know, I get hit in the face by a beer. After that occurs, I reach to my mouth to see something's wrong there. And I feel that like a part of my tooth is missing.
Okay, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the assault that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you allege that Mr. Knapp was the one who threw the beer bottle.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a full beer can.
A can.
Yeah, not bottle.
Did you report this incident to the police?
I did not take it to the police
Just a second, I'm just asking you.
Oh, sorry.
The answer is no.
No.
I disagree.
Disagree that he went to the police?
With his story.
Okay, I'll get there. Okay, so now you get hit in the face with a beer can, step by step. You look down, you look at your tooth.
Realize it's chipped. I say out loud, my tooth is chipped. She doesn't.
Don't tell me
believe it
not
at first.
about she. Just you.
Just me. I noticed it was chipped. And then after I announced that it was chipped, several of my friends, I guess, went towards him. And
Well, you didn't tell me anything about him. You didn't tell me. You just said you got hit in the face with a beer can.
Yeah.
That's all you said to me.
And he was the only other person that was standing right there, besides her sitting next to me.
So you didn't see him throw the beer can at you?
There was no one else there.
I'm just...
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see him throw it at me, but there was never a case of...
No, you didn't.
Of anything.
That's all.
Yeah.
You didn't see him throw it at you?
No.
Okay, go.
From the park, Your Honor?
Take it from
All
the
right.
park.
So
Now I got 2 drunks in the park, maybe 3.
there was actually more than just 3 of us surrounding the table.
Just a second.
Me and him.
Go slowly.
Okay, sorry.
Slower.
Let me take
I
it
don't
down a
know
notch.
table. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, as he was saying, we were sitting at a park bench. I had brought the beer. The beer was next to me. He had asked me to toss him a beer. And that's plainly what I did was I underhanded him lightly a beer to him. And in his defense, he's saying he wasn't drunk, but it definitely was apparent that he was. When
And
you lightly
anybody who's been
toss a
drinking
beer,
from 7 to 2 in the morning is drunk.
Yes, ma'am. So I lightly tossed him a beer, and unfortunately it was dark enough to where he had missed, and the beer had hit him in the face. which after immediately I started to apologize to him, stating that I didn't mean to, but it was apparent he was looking at me and did not catch the beer. So personally, I think everything he said to you right now was...
That's your story. You tossed him a beer because he asked you. He said, toss me a beer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was dark.
Yes.
And you were drunk. And he was drunk.
I wasn't drunk, Your Honor. I had 4 beers within the time of 10 o'clock till when this incident happened.
You know, I'm not real comfortable with that, sir.
Okay.
Because according to you, you had been drinking for 4 hours. And not only were you drinking for 4 hours, but you brought extra alcohol to have in the park. By the way.
Which was a closed container.
Where do you live? In what city?
In Pasadena, Your Honor.
In California. Are you allowed to drink alcohol in parks in California?
I'm not certain.
Well, let's find out. Open beer cans in city parks in California.
That's a no. So after...
We're not talking yet.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Drinking alcoholic beverages is a prohibited activity in parks and park areas, according to the Pasadena City Park rules.
Thank you. This park that you went to, what's the name of it?
I'm not sure. It was up the street from the last bar we were at.
Okay. Now, did you, Mr. Costello, and the defendant, immediately after this event, did you communicate with him via text or email?
I texted him, I think it was roughly a couple of days later.
Okay. I'd like to see the text.
I have that.
That's all I want to see. Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Just show me the texts that you sent him a couple of days later.
There it is.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. I'd like to see these texts from your phone, and I'd like to see all your text messages starting September 14th.
It's right here.
Of 2021. No, sir, you have to understand. What you said to me here, what you gave me, is 2 texts a year apart. I want to see the texts to him.
There was nothing.
After September 14th, you mean he didn't respond at all to this? I don't believe that.
My next thing that I did was I sent a letter through the mail, and I have that here, and I have proof of it where I had it so where he had to sign for it, and I have the receipt for it as well.
What date?
That one, I can pull it up right here.
I'm sorry, what letter? I never received a letter.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that I'm supposed to believe that after you sent this email on September 14th, which is 3 days after the event, he never responded to you, and you never sent a follow-up email or text.
That was the letter. And in the letter I gave him...
Shh, just a second.
Okay.
Oh, here. Take this back. It's nonsense. I don't want to see something prepared for litigation, sir. You said you had a document that you sent to him that he had to sign for. If you sent him a letter, return receipt requested, then you have a return receipt requested with a signature on it. That's a document that you prepared 2 days ago.
I have the receipt in here.
Let's get it.
Okay.
I never signed such document.
Just don't shout out again.
Yes, ma'am.
It's annoying, and I'm annoyed enough with this case.
I'm sorry for being so unorganized.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're so unorganized too, or disorganized.
Oh, here it is.
Great.
Certified mail. They're stuck to the back one.
This was sent April of 2022. I want to see what the response was. There had to be a response.
I never got a
since
response
September
from him.
14th, 2021. There had to be a response.
I never got a response from him.
Kevin, show this to Mr. Knapp and tell me if he recalls this text message.
Your Honor, no, I do not remember getting this text.
Why would you respond a year later? I know from the past, dealing with Mr. Knapp here, he tends to always, being friends, whenever get into an altercation or argument, he unfollows me, blocks me on everything. Okay. So there's a possibility by that text message not going through.
I don't deal in possibilities, sir.
I sent the text message, and I have proof of there. It was delivered, and I never got a response from him.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Sir, this incident happened September 11th. You have to understand, I think that if that's what happened. I tend to believe that the defendant did not just willy-nilly take a can and fling it at your face. I want you to know that I don't believe that.
Giovanni Castillo has accused his former friend, Jacob Knapp, of hitting him with a beer can. Jacob says Giovanni asked him to throw it.
Okay, it is more likely than not that you were sitting with this lady who, according to you, you were supposed to drive home.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said 5 minutes ago. So you were supposed to drive home, which means she was trashed, because that's what you said. You said, I wasn't...
This was the arrangements from the very beginning of the night.
Okay. Do you understand? So we had a whole bunch of trashed people. And I am more likely to believe the defendant when he says you said to him, toss me a beer, and it accidentally hit you in the face.
My questioning is that the...
I don't answer questions.
Okay, well, where the beer was placed on the table, I don't understand why I would have to ask him to toss me a beer when I can simply reach over and grab one myself.
I don't know either. But it sounds more likely to me than not that it was his beer, he brought it there, and you said to him, toss me a beer. And you failed to catch it. Now, that doesn't mean that the defendant isn't at least partially responsible for the stupidity of that night. But you have some responsibility, too, because I really don't believe that he left the bar. He was angry and frustrated over something that you had no idea what he was angry and frustrated over, because you were all sitting together. And he just, out of the blue, took a beer and threw it at your face. I don't believe that. Do you understand?
If I could show you a picture here, you could see that if he just simply tossed me a beer, I don't understand how a beer can could chip my tooth the way that it did.
Just a second. It can. It can.
Okay.
I can eat a biscotti and it can chip my tooth. Biscotti, that's a cookie, a very hard cookie. And have. And have. I mean, I could chip my tooth on my grandmother's steak, it was so hard. But certainly from a beer can. So I don't believe that you're blameless. What was your dental bill, sir?
I have the statements here.
While he's looking for that, you understand that if you were sitting there and instead of a bunch of beer cans and the plaintiff said to you, you know, that gun that's in your pocket, toss it over to me, I want to take a look at it. And you did. You took a gun out of your pocket and you tossed it over to him, and as you were tossing it over, it accidentally fired. Would it be his fault if he got shot?
No.
No. Whose fault would it be?
Mine.
Right. Because you weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
Because it was potentially dangerous.
Of course.
Well, same thing with a knife or an explosive device.
Right.
Or something very hot, like toss me a cup of coffee in a container and it splatters. So you don't do what anybody asks you to do if it's not a smart thing to do.
Right.
Unless you're drunk. Unless you're drunk.
Your Honor,
then,
if I may.
Yeah.
Coming from a baseball background, such as me and Gio did.
I don't care about your baseball background. There's no question, sir, that you acknowledge you threw it at him. And I'm telling you that if your excuse is that he asked me to do it, so I followed the fool's directions. I'm telling you, he's going to pay part of his dental bill, because I think it was partially his responsibility. But if you acknowledge that you were stupid enough to throw the beer can in his direction, you have to be partially liable. You're two drunks, that's what happens. So don't get so drunk and go to a park. How old are you?
27.
27 is old. And you?
28, Your Honor.
28. You know, old enough not to be so stupid. You know, you can figure 17, 18-year-olds are so stupid. At age 28, you should be doing something constructive. I assume you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a chef.
And you?
I'm a lumberman, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're both gainfully employed, letting off a little steam. That's fine. But if there's a problem that develops because anybody is not operating on all cylinders because of alcohol, you have to take responsibility. What was the dental bill?
My dental bill came out to $2,342.
Can I see that, please, Kevin?
I have this here. I'll give you both.
Was any of this dental bill covered by insurance?
On the dental, no.
Okay. Anything else?
My wholeheartedly truth is I didn't ask him for a beer. I had no problems. I was avoiding him the whole night for the most part because from the past, Jacob has had a way worse drinking problem than I've ever gotten to. I went out that night solely to have a couple drinks, hang out with friends, The night went longer than expected.
Very nice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,171, which is half of your dental bill. You pay half. Don't get drunk. You're too old to get drunk. I don't believe that he maliciously threw this at you. I think that you asked for a beer, tossed it at you, and you missed. That was his stupidity and yours. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
All I did was I underhand lightly tossed it over to him, and that's really what happened.
I did nothing wrong to deserve to get a beer thrown in my face like a baseball.
Unfortunately, he chipped his tooth, and so it was unfortunate.
I said, hey, Jacob, look, like, you chipped my tooth. Like, look what you just did.
No more drinking in the parks, guys.
Not to do it again.
I think this situation is the exact reason cities like Pasadena have rules about drinking alcohol in parks, because like you always say, it's not an on purpose, it's an accident. But a lot of times there are certain things that can increase the probability of an accident happening. True. And I think drinking at 2 a.m. in a park probably is one of those things.
That's true. So so many times rules and regulations don't seem to have any substance of reason behind it. But this certainly is an example of why.
Jeremy DeTorres is suing his former employer, Chad Young, for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2140, DeTorres versus Young.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. DeTorres, according to your complaint, you did some work for the defendant as a plumber. Didn't work out, and he terminated you, and he owes you some wages.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that while your work in the beginning was okay, you were never an employee of his. You're an independent contractor. That's the way he sets it up, and he's going to explain that to me. That he paid you your wages, even though the last job that you did cost him an awful lot to repair. He was not happy with the quality of work that you did, and his counterclaim is for vandalism, something that happened with his truck, work hours lost due to your incompetence. That I'm not going to hear, sir. You know, you make a choice with an employee, and if it turns out to be something that is less than satisfactory, then you let them go. But the one who I assume suffered from what you call lack of quality work that he performed was the person that you were working for. Was that a private residence that he was doing work in?
Yes. Yeah, a bunch of private residents.
Yeah, that's the person who suffered.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're going to make this as easy as possible. From what days to what days did you work?
I worked for Chad from June 13th to August 3rd.
And how much were you supposed to be paid?
For those 3 days, $840.
And that's for 3 days' work?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say June 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
To August 3rd?
Correct.
Well, that's more than 3 days.
No, his wage he owes me from August 1st to August 3rd is what he did not pay me for.
Okay, and where did you work during those days?
Multiple residents.
Okay, do you have any sort of a call log from him?
I do. It's right here in my
Do you dispute that he worked from August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Yes.
You dispute that
There was one day he actually did one of my jobs for a couple hours that day.
Doesn't matter. He has a log.
Half a day for one day.
Did you pay him for that half day?
I did not, because the job was done incorrectly multiple times.
But he did that job. Okay, now, do you have a log?
As in?
It's some sort of a work log. You have a business. You have people who are general contractors. You get a call. You don't have a payroll because you pay these people independently. Do you pay them in cash or check?
Both.
Well, how did you pay him?
Sometimes it was through a cashier's check and sometimes it was cash.
Okay, but never through a company check where you deducted Social Security.
No, because I 1099 all my employees, so they're all self-employed, so they have to do all that on their own.
I do understand. I mean, you're not the inventor of this whole system, sir, of paying in cash. Okay. Are you one of those independent contractors?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. How long have you been an independent contractor?
I've been contracted with Chad since July 5th.
Of what year?
This year, 2022.
Oh, so short term.
Yes, ma'am.
Does he pay you in check or cash? No, look at me.
Check it first, and then later on it became through Venmo, and then it's gone back to check now.
What kind of check?
Cashier's check.
Just a straight cashier's check with nothing taken out?
No, ma'am.
No, I go to my bank to get all that.
What?
I go to my bank to get the cashier's checks, and sometimes I Venmo him the payment too, just to pay.
I understand what, sir, you're not the first person who I know who pays their people in cash and says that you're independent contractors. You're independent contractors. I don't want to know about it. What name do you use for the cashier's checks?
My personal name.
Is this the first time you've worked for him?
Yes.
Okay, let me see what you have for August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Where did you work? Come on.
There were multiple residents, ma'am.
Well, you have to tell me so that he can answer. He says that you worked half a day that he didn't pay you for.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say that's a full day. So that's $200.
Okay. See, he would email it on his work phone, and I'd follow the addresses there.
Well, then you would have
write
it on
down
your
my
phone.
short notes
Just
on
a
this.
second. Then you would have it on your phone.
It was his company phone. He took it back when he came to my house unannounced and told me that I was fired. Redeemed his truck. Got my tools out of his vehicle.
Okay, just a second. Do you have your phone?
I do. I have my personal one that I talk.
What about the phone that you took from him?
No, that one's actually broke, so it's been with Mo for the past week.
Let me see the notes that you have that you took.
Yes, ma'am.
Fascinating.
It's my shorthand, ma'am.
How do I know what dates these are for?
It was all on his phone, ma'am.
Well, that's not him to have to prove, sir.
I wasn't able to prove anything when he took his phone back. I just had that's the notes when I was employed for him as I wrote down.
It's not helpful to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, the only thing that he's acknowledged is that he owes you a day's wages.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is $210. The other part of your complaint is a false restraining order against you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you file a restraining order against him? Do you have a copy of what you wrote in your restraining order?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
So what got me that restraining order is he called, made threats, and made
Was
threats.
this after you fired him?
It was.
Okay, so after you fired him, he called you.
Made threats.
Well, what did he say when he called you?
Just basically talking about I'm going to come to your house and everything.
He wanted money.
I guess, yeah.
He said, you didn't pay me.
Yeah.
Okay. You say you got a text message and voicemail from Jeremy threatening to come to my place of residence.
Yes.
Can I hear it?
Yeah. Do you want me to play it? Or do you want to look at it?
I want to look at it.
Okay.
So, Mr. Torres, did you, after he fired you and came to your residence, took your house, did you call him threatening to come to his house?
I did.
You did?
With the police. It says it on these text messages, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to take his phone and those text messages.
There's more text. That's just the one where he said he'd send me my money.
That's the voicemail if you want me to play it for you. Sometimes the transcription doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want me to play it?
Just.
Hey, bro. I definitely worked more than 9 hours for last week that I worked for you. I'll be contacting my... Play with me. I'll show up at your house.
Yeah, that's a threat.
With the police.
Just a second. That's a threat.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I've had more.
That's a threat.
I had more incidents before that as well.
May I say something, ma'am? He accused me of going into his gated community, slashing tires on his work vehicle. I stated that I was going to come to his house after, if you read my text, I said to him, hey, bro, I think I misunderstood your text message. If I did, my bad. If not, I'll show up at your house with the police. I never went to his house. I waited to see if he'd be the big man and just send me my money like he said he would.
I listened to the message, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
The message sounded threatening.
Did you read the rest of them?
I don't care. That message sounded threatening.
E.T. Torres claims his former employer, Chad Young, owes for unpaid wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay, that message alone, if he felt threatened because you were going to come to his house, and you not only said you were going to come to his house, but you used an expletive before you did that, which sounded threatening. This may be more benign, but that phone message was sufficient for him to file for a protective order against you.
Okay, why didn't he show up at the protective custody order?
I don't answer your questions.
No,
you don't necessarily.
Absolutely.
Some people don't pursue it because once it's done, it's done.
It wasn't done.
And once it's done,
this is the dismissal right here. Dismissal for the
No,
job.
it didn't show up. I understand he didn't show up, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm saying to you, I listened to your text message, and he had an absolute right to see.
You see where he threatened me as well with all these back and forth texts and calling each other? Because it's in the text
You're
messages.
suing him for money owed for wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay.
You've proven that you worked an additional day for which he didn't pay you, which is $210. He has a counterclaim. Yeah. He says that you vandalized the tires on his car. The rest of it, I'm not dealing with, sir. You picked this employee. You don't then sue the employee if you don't like the job that they do. You fire them and you get somebody else to do the job. But you can't sue him because did the person who you did the job for sue you?
No, because I've got a really good reputation with my customers.
Because you fixed it. Because it wasn't done right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even up to that last day I said he worked for me, that job I had to go back to 2 weeks ago that they couldn't close on the house.
The next time you won't hire him. Yeah. Maybe other people won't either. But I want you to tell me about the tires. I want you to tell me what proof do you have that he had anything to do with your tires? When were the tires slashed, flattened?
So the police report was done Friday when he made the threats.
Friday, what date?
I got the date right here. I think it was
August 5th.
Yeah, so August 5th is when he did it.
August 5th is when
the police report was made for the threats.
For the threat, for the voicemail?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it was the end of the day Friday, so court's closed for the weekend.
August 5th?
Yep. And then Monday, the 8th, I went outside to go to work. My tires were slashed in the end. At that point, I realized it was just over and done, and I need to go down and get a restraining order so people can't come onto my property.
Because you believed it was the plaintiff who was responsible. You believed you didn't have proof at the time.
Yes.
You didn't have proof.
Again, and even in my injunction, I knew all I needed was this police report to get the injunction, so I just put in my police report.
You're not talking about an injunction. You're talking about a restraining order.
Yeah, the restraining order. Yeah.
Okay.
It was So in my restraining order, I put just my tires were flat. I did not put my tires were slashed at any point because I knew the police report was enough to get the restraining order.
Okay, your
tires
were
in detail about my tires.
Okay, so in the police report, you have that your tires were flattened.
No, that wasn't on the police report because that didn't happen yet. The tire incident did not happen.
Okay.
That happened Friday. Monday morning, I went out in my vehicle to go to work. That's when I found them flat and slashed.
Did you file another police report?
That's when I went and filed the restraining order that day.
Okay, and in the application for a restraining order, you said?
That my tires were flat, and that was it.
Yes, okay.
I didn't mention that they were slashed.
Correct.
So I don't know how he would know my tires were slashed if I didn't mention it on my restraining order.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Mr. DeTorres. Mr. DeTorres, stop your paper fluttering.
Okay.
What made you think that the defendant's tires were slashed rather than just the air let out of them?
Because I read this police report and it has a mark right here saying, or the file that he did.
Show me and make a circle.
Right here, damaged property is what I read. He checked that I damaged his property because this is written against me.
Mr. DeTorres, do you understand my question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm nervous in the
Just a second. This has nothing to do with nerves, Mr. DeTorres.
Well, I had no sleep last night.
That has nothing to do with sleep.
As far as not being...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm asking you, Mr. DeTorres, is where does it say here that his tires were slashed?
In my mind, somebody writing that against me, flattened tires, what else would it be? He lives in a gated community.
Well, that could be...
Where's the surveillance showing me that my leg injury, the way I walk, is very distinctive, okay? If he's got proof that I slashed or flattened his tires, I said slashed. It's the same thing as flattened in my mind. That's the way I think. The way I read that, that's just how it came out of my mouth.
But you have to understand that that's not what this says.
Okay. It says that I damaged his property.
It said damaged his property, and you said slashed tires.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the tires?
$450.
Let me see the receipt.
I do not have a receipt because I pay cash for my tires.
Well, that's too bad. You better stop paying cash, sir. You can pay cash for tires.
Yeah.
But when you buy tires with cash and you want to sue for them, you get a receipt.
Yeah.
from the people. And if you know you're coming to court, we're not talking about things that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You were coming to court today.
I went back to the tire shop and he's like, we just, we always do cash for all your vehicles. And
Well, what do we cash for all your vehicles? That means you get a receipt. All right, your counterclaim's dismissed because you have no proof of anything. On the complaint, sir, I'm awarding you $210, which is 1 day's pay. Thank you very much. This case is over.
This court is adjourned.
The work just wasn't up to the quality that he promised he was going to offer.
It is what it is.
That's just his nature. That's always been his nature.
The judgment is what the judgment is. She felt like I was only awarded a day's pay, and that's what she gave me.
Keep doing what I do. That's all I can do every day.
Well, Sarah Rose, that is the perfect example of you're supposed to have proof when you come to court.
Yep. Standard of proof exists for a reason.
I know that when I go someplace, and sometimes I pay cash. So even if you pay cash for something,
There's some
or Venmo,
record. Venmo
you're
is a good
supposed to
record.
get a receipt in the event that you want to use whatever you bought and use that fact that you purchased something in a subsequent lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as sending a gift. If you send somebody a gift, you keep the receipt until you know that they got the gift.
Yeah.
Then you take it and you throw it away. It's just
good bookkeeping. It's good record keeping.
And he's a business guy.
Yeah.
He's a business guy. Didn't make sense to me, but clearly plaintiff for somebody who has a little trouble.
Yeah.